Are live. Hi, everyone. My name is Bruce, and with me today is my friend Kai of Chimerian's Musings. Kai, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing okay.
Excellent. I'll be painting minis. You might be playing a game. And how have you been as of late?
Busy, but all right.
Badass. Badass. Um,
Mostly just work. So,
oh, yeah. So, with everything that you've had going on, I mean, work being what it is, um, have you been playing anything tabletop or board game lately with friends or no?
uh, m- mostly just playing a little bit of BattleTech on the side, just having fun. And
Battletech, like face to face Battletech?
yeah, face to face.
Holy shit!
I know it's not much, but you know what? 3 hours to play a good old fashioned 2-on-2 mech beater up battle. It's not super fancy. It's not going into the super advanced rules. It's not where I know I could play, but you know what? It's still just take two mechs and beat up on two other mechs and having a nice go at it.
That's pretty cool.
And on this and on the side, playing a bit of, I want to call it Traveler, but it's definitely just more like play by post, just relax. Everyone in the game is just quietly playing a little bit of Traveler because honestly, you don't need to be that. It's a sandbox game. It's a lot of fun. Everyone's having a nice little time, and there's also a little bit on the side of a little bit of Exalted, and that's just because we just wanted to. It's again play by post because nobody's got the time to actually sit down and roll dice. But we're just having fun with setting building. But because of that, I guess that's where I've been bouncing around ideas. Where if you've been reading it, I don't know where my brain's been going about just strange shit because I have another person who's like, hey, I'm trying to get a D&D game going, and I'm like, that's never going to happen because of the fact that none of our that we are all people in our 40s to 50s, and we're all very busy people. We don't have any time. They're like, can you play at this time? And I'm like, no, I have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Actually, I need to get up before then. No, I can't stay out late anymore. So no, I can't start the game at 7 and be done at 11. I have a job. Um, but then, but then came the debates about somebody posted something stupid, and I'm just like, hi, your stupid idea I've been thinking about. And then it became so what determines what a 5,000 gold piece gem is? Who de- who determines what 100 gold piece gem is? And the GM, who's definitely not used to me, goes, well, the GM decides, and you should just trust the GM. And I'm like, I don't trust GMs. I don't trust your logic. I don't trust arbitrary. And then I started going into a long, detailed thing, which I kind of hit on in my musings actually, which was the whole idea of what determines intrinsic value, and then started to go into how things could break the moment you start to think about it. I know it's a game. We're not supposed to think about it. We're just supposed to accept that there's a mass production value of 100 gold piece pearls that are just around in piles, so that way we can identify magic items. Except for the fact that, like, I'm like, but who's manufacturing those 100 gold piece pearls? Is there just like a factory of oyster farms that are just there to manufacture pearls en masse and then selling them on the open market, so you can just go into town and go, yeah, I need 500 gold piece pearls, please. And then you go into town and go, yeah, I need because when I reread the Resurrection and Raised Dead and True Res, and it's like, no, it's not a pile of gems, it's one gem of X value. And then it became, where do you get a supply of 5,000 gold piece gems to cause resurrection? Because because I because of last weekend when I was watching your game and then hearing the greatest, most hilarious comment, which was from Connell about, if I escape, it'll be okay. I'll resurrect all of you. And I now went, wait a moment.
There's a lot of resurrection in the diamond dust that I need. I need lots and lots of diamond dust. I hope you
Right.
understand that.
And the thing is that now, if he now you could, if you have the fabricate spell and you have a bunch of smaller gems that are all diamonds, so you have a pile of crap, and then you fabricate the one gem you need. But at that point, is it a raw diamond, or can I now take a raw diamond and then facet it, and then shape it and cut it, and then make a far more beautiful, more valuable gem? Who determines the gem's value? Or do you have a petty god who just goes, no, I'm sorry, I don't accept that diamond. It's not good enough for me. I have a mountain of those diamonds. I don't want that diamond. I'm sorry, because you have one nick, it's only worth 4,990 gold pieces. I can't bring your friend back. Rules are rules, bitch. And or at that point, it's like, okay, take my dust, fabricate, recreate diamonds, start over, make a 5,000 gold piece gem because I made my skill checks. Or hey, if I if I haggle with the a dwarf and go, I'll no, I will pay you 4,000 for that 5,000 gold piece gem. Well, technically, you just lowered the value of the gem. Now the gem is now only 4,000 gold pieces. So does your god go, oh no, you only paid $4,000 for that $5,000 diamond, so it's only worth 4,000 gold pieces? Wait, what? No. I ran this by the god of mercantilism, and he's a Jew, so and so therefore, like, okay, but what if I'm dealing with like a De Beers gold diamond mine full of dwarves who are sitting here going, I love like we have mountains of diamonds. To us, the diamonds are worthless. So I pay $5 for a 100 gold piece diamond or some other thing. So does trade involve it? Or maybe this one diamond's only hyper valuable because it's rare in this one. Like, and this poor GM is sitting there going, shut up. And I'm like, no, I refuse. Because you need to tell me how mercantilism works in your world. Because it's D&D. I don't have to figure out what mercantilism does. And I'm like, yes, you do. yes, you do.
And do moissanite count?
What was that?
Hear you now.
If you moissanites, if you artificially create a diamond,
right?
Does that count?
I know, and I asked the same question. It's like, well, because the fabricate is an artificial diamond. You created an artificial one, even though the rules say it is effectively a diamond. Now, if I take carbon under pressure and using magical to create pressure to create a diamond that way, do you know it's an artificial diamond? It's a better purity, higher quality. Who determines it? Is there a god of diamond exchanges going on here? And suddenly, again, what was that?
Better go to the god of Jared.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because, and suddenly this gym's like, if I tell you it's worth 5,000, it's 5,000, and I'm like, obviously you have no idea how economics work, or how any kind of commodity exchange works, because I definitely, which of course led to a different thing of going, wait, starting to like work on futures and other things. That he's like, no, stop thinking about how you're going to do a stock market, because then you're going to come up with an even worse scam. And I'm like, what scam would I come up with? And he's like, I don't want to know. And I'm like, I've already thought of one. And that was the idea that, okay, so So I know this mountain that I want that's full of goblins is worth approximately 25,000 gold pieces in ore production. But I don't want to. I don't have enough manpower to clear it out. But I will offer 2,000 gold pieces to this group of idiots over this group of low-ranking murder hobos. Pay them 1,000 gold up front and 1,000 gold plus whatever loot they can get. They can get from killing the goblins, and let them go in there, clear out. I clear out my mountain, and then once they cleared it out, I give them the extra 1,000 gold and say, "Congratulations on all the other loot you managed to get." They leave. I'm out 2,000, but I have 25,000 more invested now in the mountain that I can now extract. So am I speculatively financing the expansion of my own empire by giving out shitty quests to low-ranking adventurers? And he's like, "Shut the fuck up." And I'm like, "Thank you." He's like, "I don't want to think about the idea that you as a player are going to sit here and do a background check to investigate the financial worth of the guy who's giving us the quest, and if the quest is actually a valid quest, or just simply a rich guy trying to shortchange us because he doesn't want to pay for actual real troops to clean up this problem." Or it's like, you think I would actually do? Because no, I know now that you would do that. And I'm like, what? No, yeah, you're right. You're right. Now that I know that the idea that he is buying land and paying adventurers to clear it out while dressing up as a hobo and begging that the goblins are raping my village. No, you just moved into a shitty, broken down village and said you're the last survivor, and now you're sending us off to go clear out the goblins who are squatting on the property that you want to develop. You already have secretly set aside, the miners, the actual workers. They're all somewhere else waiting for the mountain to get cleared out. But you don't want to pay for guards. No, you're going to pay a bunch of low-ranking hobos a fraction of what the value of the mountain is. And he's like, stop talking. And I'm like, no, I refuse.
BlackRock, the king of hobos.
Right.
Since there's no Better Business Bureau, there's no way to verify.
There's no oversight. Until you come back later and find out that the old man is actually way more richer than you, and he just used you while you are just you and your 5 friends who split that 2,000 gold between them. Because man, you're poor hobos. You don't have anything. 200 gold to each of you. Oh, that's a fucking that is a you've hit it big. You could buy a lot of cool stuff with that 200 extra gold. And the old man is sitting here going, yeah, but I already have down payment, the mine shaft, the workers, the smeltery, and the entire village I'm going to build up in its place. That's going to generate far more money every single month than I paid you. But you don't know better because you're level 1 adventurers. You don't know anything. You were just told go kill some goblins, and guess what? If you die, well, level 1 adventurers are just I can get a whole bunch of those no matter where, anywhere for anything, and well, I need to lose approximately 25 level 1 groups before I'm actually having to pull from my own, my own actual reserves of cash. So, come on, adventurers, keep on dying for me, because I want to give you, half of it up front and half after, because that's how most of us do our shit. And because you need to buy some gun. Yeah, it's wonderful. And he's like, and I'm going to guess that GM just doesn't like the idea of what I will bring to the table, which is, no, I refuse. You need to pay me a whole lot more. But you're level 1. No, I know what you're getting out of it. Pay me a fair wage. No, I'll go hire no level 1 peasants. Excuse me, I'm going to go kill all the other murder hobos to ensure that there's no more competition. I am your only opportunity. I'm your only option. And that's not at that point exactly what you would call a good gaming environment.
Yeah, it does make things a little bit awkward. Just a
Yeah,
smidge.
just a smidge. Some GMs just wouldn't like that because you're derailing their entire game because you're now assigning ulterior motives to everybody, and rather than just enjoying the story. But I'm like, but I, but that's what I would do, and you're evil. Yeah, but they're goblins. Who cares? Oh god, and just no. It's like the more I started just thinking about it, the more I was like, no, no, this is dumb. But then again, I was also thinking about the game that was also last week for you, Bruce. That would with the whole we've been ambushed. It's been 3 rounds of combat. Where's the wizards and the guards and the dragons and all the
It's
good
only
shit?
18 seconds in and they're bitching.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
I fucking laugh about that now even.
like where's the rapid response force? And I'm like going like uh
Give it like 60 combat rounds and maybe 3 people will show up.
yeah. It's like yeah, it's one of those the SWAT team is just waking up going, huh, what's that alarm going off?
What the fuck is that noise? What the fuck? And the thing is that what I haven't even told the party is on the other side of Bard's Gate, there's a raid going on, and those 3 giant minotaur looking motherfuckers that are huge size I painted with red fur earlier this
Yeah.
year. Yeah, I got 3 of those and 2 beholders, along with some just grunts going around town. On the other side of town, they did a two-sided invasion. One side they went for just going for general mischief and robbing like banks and shit. And over here, they're actually targeting the team that's going in and like performing acts of war against them. And that's the thing. Like, where do you want to send the EMS to?
Right. Okay, a few weeks ago, I got to watch at work somebody getting hit right in front of my store.
What?
Like they were a young kid on a motorcycle being stupid, and they were lane splitting, and then they decided to run into the back of a vehicle, and they went flying through the air. Boy, I got to watch the helmet go everywhere. The bike was flying through the air, and his body hit one of my delivery vehicles. He lived. Just a
Oh, that's
spoiler
good.
alert. He lived. He can't. His back's broken in 2 places, and he's going to be paralyzed for a while. And he can't remember that. He can't remember anything from that day. But we had the video, so we got to watch it. Watch the guy go flying through the air and crush the fuck out of the hood of one of my delivery vehicles, which sucks. Now we're down a vehicle for 3 weeks because we're waiting for repairs. And he didn't have insurance, so yay. But despite the fact that I watched it happen, I heard the impact, I watched the body, and I called 911 after about 10 seconds of going, what the fuck did I just watch? I called 911, and then they're like, okay, do you have the address? Fill all the information, and then waited 4 minutes. Bruce, how close to the hospitals, university, and where the Walmart and university is, right? In Peoria. Did I lose you?
Crickets. I don't see that he's muted.
Okay, so anyway, I'm really close to three major hospitals where I'm at, where I work. It's 4 minutes. 4 minutes, and I had people. EMS was there, cops and everyone was there within like 4 minutes. So he lived. It's fine, and that gave me that realization of when you have everyone on the ball, it's still almost 5 minutes before help arrives. And so, yeah, Bruce is right. 60 rounds from now,
Eternity.
yeah, 60 rounds of D&D combat, you'll have help arrive. And that's a...
And of course, is the saying, what is it, when seconds count, they're minutes away.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things where, like, would be like, where's my help coming? And I'm like...
Yeah, I didn't mean to laugh at my players. Like, I don't give a shit about your feelings, but
I don't give a shit.
That really, like, I felt bad for the fact that I laughed at them, but like, they were completely out of their element.
Well, yeah, they had nowhere to go.
Yeah, they they've been doing this super secret shit for they've been doing their hit and runs on the bad guys, and then we retreat like to a continent away, and like we're safe. How dare the bad guys use our same tactics against us? Blah. And
I know.
In our favorite fucking inn, where I get like a hot soup and a truffle, like how dare they siege this place? That I get my Goza beer here. It made me laugh.
No, not Fran's frozen yogurt stand.
Right.
I don't know if you know that reference. It's from Borderlands 3.
You'll wait. Where's it from?
Borderlands 3.
Okay, that's why I don't know it, because I don't play Borderlands 3.
I did, but the guy who said that is also kind of a God. Why do you exist type character?
Yes. How did you not be stillborn?
I don't know.
I've tried to play Borderlands 2. Claptrap kills my excitement about the game. Every time I try to fire it up, so oh
God! Like almost everybody I know says they hate Claptrap, and yet I'm like, I love Claptrap. He's the best character of the series, the most annoying character of the series, but he's the best character.
Like,
yeah, the Great Claptrap Uprising was hilarious.
Yeah.
There's a movie called Dungeons and Dragons from 2000, and throughout the movie, like, you're bitching about Damon Wayans' character Snails, the thief, and then he dies, and you realize he was the only reason why you really watched the fucking movie. And
yeah,
that happens, and I don't want to think that Claptrap's on that same level.
Oh, the thing is,
so he can do.
Well, you actually look at like what people like. Most people I know do not like Claptrap, and yet almost anybody who talks about him or talks about the series will say that it would not be the same without Claptrap.
Bullshit.
I could have plenty of fun.
If he had not been there from the beginning, it would still be a good series.
It would be a great game without him.
Like,
now, if it was Portal and they got rid of GLaDOS, then yeah, I could see that killing everything.
But anyways, yes. But no, the other part I was thinking about was the whole communication and delay issue, because I know I've got I had a phone, but the idea of how far someone could yell and be understood intelligently is not far. I guess I use my job where people are yelling across 100 yards from one end of my building to the other end, and fuck, it's worthless. Nobody hears shit, because all it is you can't hear fucking shit. And so therefore, like, the idea of there's this huge racket. Not really. I mean, you might hear something in the if you're in line of sight, or a whole loud bang happens and then some screaming, but you're not hearing intelligence, from 30 to 40 yards away. So the idea of obviously the guards on the other end of the city are going to hear what's happening here and race and teleport here. I'm like,
Guards will be the last ones to get there. The first ones on scene in like maybe 12 rounds will be wizards. And that will be after they've woke up, rubbed their eyes, figured out what might be going on, girded up with spells, and left. Because they can do that without anybody's help. The guards, hey, Paintman's Live, how you doing, sir? Um, the the guards of the town, they got to get suited up with assistants. If they want to get dressed fast, they have to have a buddy buckling their straps for them and helping them out and cutting down on time. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to show up within like 4 minutes or maybe 6 minutes.
Yeah, if they got like Firewatch going, I could see a
Yeah.
shortened amount of time, but still, you have to get prepped. There's distance. If you don't have magical means to instantaneously travel from one side of town to the other, or whatever the situation is,
Fucking Dino
like
Mutt
it's going to take time.
Dino Mutt, the fucking Cosmo Knight. I saw there was trouble. I flew here as fast as I could. No.
But the thing here is that who's watching the bar? Because that's the thing is, you guys teleported to the bar. It wasn't like you teleported into the Hall of Justice, and that's where you got ambushed. No, you guys teleported to, I'm gonna guess, Discount Dan's Spy Bar.
No, they actually went to one of the most prestigious bars in the main book, the Six Candles.
Okay,
And
so you went to not Waterdeep's Adventure Bar. Okay,
no, not Waterdeep's Adventure Bar. Like, this is a bar where you'd never expect to see people that are in armor, and then the party gets upset because everybody kind of gives them the stink eye because why are you walking around in armor? Why do you have all those magical sigils on? You're here,
yeah.
And
Okay, so they teleport into the Ritz every time.
yes,
And then they're like, okay, so after watching now about a year, more than a year of this campaign now, where they constantly teleport into the Ritz and and probably cause a ruckus every time but at no point do guards ever show up when they teleport, or do they?
the city has a generalized teleport area where when you teleport in, if you don't want to go to this location in the downtown area, you have to beat an SR check.
And so do they beat it all the time?
No, they just accept the fact they get pulled there.
Okay.
And that's just how they were told to come in. Don't try to override it. Just let yourself come in. You're going to be 3 miles away from either gate on the side of the city, but you're going to be kind of downtown in the middle of an EMS area. You walk 10 miles, or if you walk 10 blocks to the east, you go to the ritzy nobility section on the border of the market and nobility. That's where the Inn of Six Candles is.
Okay.
And so it's kind of away from like a lot of EMS stuff. The downtown area kind of there's a lot of riverfront in Bard's Gate, so there's a lot of rough stuff in Bard's Gate because you really can't pretty up a riverfront area. You can for a little bit, but after 2 to 3 years, if you don't gentrify it, then it starts going into disrepair, starts turning into dockside bars, and a bunch of hookers and sailors start going places, and they just drag down the curve. So the city is in this state where like every 20 years they try to go in and try to fix things up a bit, but there's a lot of riverfront in the center of the city where their adventurers should be at, but these people think that like, no, I want to sleep in a bed that's got actual sheets. I want to have time, with like actual cooks that know how to serve food, and I don't want to have to pour my own beer. I want to be pampered. And that's how these guys are. oh, I'm 17th level, you know? And then they expect there to be other people in the city that are higher level than them. And I'm like, no, no, there's rarely anybody in the city that's higher than 15th level. Because that's just this world. Like, there might be 10 people in the world that are like 20th level because it's not that populated by heroes. There's just not. There's a few people that are adventurers between the levels of 3 and 7, but you're not going to find a lot of 10th level and above people out there. They have locations they'll be at. It's in their homes. It's at their place of business, or they'll be at a college teaching magical theory because they own part of the college. Their retirement depends upon it,
Right.
you know. But these players don't have that mentality. They've got the Forgotten Realms mentality, and I'm like, forget what you know about Ed Greenwood and fucking Elminster, because that shit isn't here. You want a high level campaign game. If you want that, like, you'll never feel high level because everybody else will always be high level compared to you. Well, you do the same thing. No, I put you on the elemental plane of Earth to get challenged, and you're challenged for once, and now you guys are panicking your ass off. It makes no sense. Like, you wanna have all the awe and thunder, but you get upset when it rains on you. What the fuck?
Okay, that explains a little bit more because I guess I missed some of the early stuff, so I didn't realize that they weren't teleporting to the bar. I thought that they had actually teleported to the bar and then they were jumped in the bar.
I save time by bringing the bar out, but like an hour will go by from when they teleport in to when they get there. That way, like, if they have to use a bathroom or they want to sell something real quick or they have to go see their friend Brev,
They
whatever,
can do it on the way.
yeah, it's on the way, and we can kind of knock that out of the way. I try to do as much of the buying and selling of like routine stuff. Do that offline. Oh, you need to buy 10 potions of cure light wounds. That's 50 gold each. That's 500 gold each. Just give me 475. Enjoy the 25 gold discount and be about your business, you know. But they, like, for some odd reason, whenever the going gets tough, like, we're going to go shopping and occupy your time for the next 10 hours and waste the game. Okay, you can do that. You can waste the campaign time. That's okay, because like all it's going to do is just further the goals of the bad guys. Like, they'll get stuff done, and then they get upset whenever like the bad guys are using actual tactics. And as the game is progressing around the roster of the initiative round, the players aren't shutting up to each other. They're belting out tactics to each other and spells, and it kind of ruins the quote unquote the immersion of it all, because this all happened within 6 seconds, but yet you all are sharing fucking, speed of thought fucking tactics and shit to everybody. And then you get upset when the bad guys just run an effortless combat round and everything goes like clockwork for them, including I get critical hits. And it's just amazing to me to hear them bitch over and over and over again. And I know that sounds bad, but I guess maybe I'm tired of the combat system. I'm tired of Pathfinder. I've only said that a fucking six
But
times every game session for the past year and a half,
yeah, we're about over a year now.
because the game initiative sucks.
It
Full
does.
combat rounds are shit for high level characters. Like, it takes me 10 to 20 minutes to go around the table once in Pathfinder. And I don't like that. Like, it takes me 10 minutes to get a whole combat round done or whole combat done with my system. And that means going up to like segment 84, which would be like round 7 for typical games.
Yeah.
But I also do have longer instances for time. The players are lower level too. They're not as proficient. They don't have all the expedient movement. Anyway,
No, you're just saying the same bitches I've got with the system. So
oh, and then you have a player. I have a player that loves to invite other people in the game that used to be there, Can we bump his character up to our level? Fine. Brought him here. That's fine. And now I have 10 people sitting down, plus cohorts. And then they get upset whenever I throw fucking 20 or 30 combat managers on the mat. Like,
And everybody's got to do something.
yeah, everybody, yeah, like I can get my monsters and NPCs done within 5 minutes, including combat rolls. I let one player do his move for like 3 minutes, and I'm there almost having an aneurysm nosebleed. Stop. Your full round action. It's taking you 36 seconds to tally up one die roll damage. This is bad. Sorry.
Oh no, I understand. I mostly understand because I had this problem too, but mine was the other problem of I never said no to anybody who wanted to join my game, so I had 12 players sitting at my table.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to bitch about the fact that I've got players. I'm trying to bitch about the fact that the system sucks.
Yes, I understand. It like
You just need an AI assistant. That's the wave of the future.
I actually don't need AI. Like I said, I get my NPCs and monsters done pretty fast.
I think the hardest. I think this is the one thing that I know that I don't want to like. I know when I'm a player, I'm listening to what everybody else is doing, and watching the board as it gets closer to my turn. Which is why whenever you got to me on my turn, I'd always be like, rather than asking 100 questions and not knowing what I'm doing, I'm using that 15 minutes that you took you on the entire board to get to me, and I'm like, all right, I already have like, here's my attack rolls, here's my skill checks, here's my attack rolls. Tell me, this is what I'm doing, where I'm moving. Here, 35 seconds to a minute, done. It's like you get to me, I move where I've been planning to move for the last 5 minutes, finalizing things, listening to what you've been telling everybody else. When it gets to my turn, I go, I already have an idea that since so and so casts a spell, okay, so obviously this is what their DC saving throws are going to be. This is what their attack values are going to be. Okay, this is what their AC is because obviously, players 2, 3, and 4 have managed to hit the guy. So if I can hit at least that number on my AC, so I'm going to either hit or not hit, because unless you have an active defense system, but since nobody wants to do an active defense system because that, nobody wants to have parries or dodges. They just want to here's their AC, good luck. And once you have that static number, well, okay, there's 2 people. Okay, flanking bonus done. My attack bonus done. All my modifiers are already calculated out. I already know he's got an AC of example 24. I'm just going to use 24 as an example. High-ish AC for low level. Okay, done. Ding ding ding. Okay, now I can roll ahead of time. I will roll. Leave the dice unmoving so you can see what my dice rolls are. Leave them out in the open. And so if you want to say I don't trust your roll, like, look, I'm going to roll it ahead of time, or right at my turn, I'm just going to roll. Boom, done. And okay, here's their attack values. Here's my spell penetration roll, and here's my skill checks. I'm doing this. This is what I'm going to do. Bam, 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 done. Walk. And at that point, I can go. My turn's over. I have done X amount of damage. I've either missed or I hit. X damage has already been rolled. We can move on to the next player. I know that's kind of going, but don't you want to do anything cool? No, I hate D&D combat. So the faster we get done with combat, the faster we can get on somebody else. And most GMs at that point, when you present that option to them, they're like, "Oh, okay, cool. That was 35 seconds of time spent," and then you get to watch in terror as the player next to me, who's next in line, goes, "Well, I thought I was going to have at least 5 more minutes to think of what I'm going to do," and I'm like, "No, I've already thought. No, I want this over with. I'm done." Here, I've already moved. I've already snuck attack. I've already done my damage. My turn's over. But don't you want to put any flavor in? This is D&D. No, there's no flavor. It's just fucking murder time. Okay, let's just get through the math. Let's get through the math. I'm the math. Math finder here, or Dungeons and Math blocks. Once you fucking know the numbers, and especially if you have now, if I have a GM who I know is like, you could do cool things and you can get cool modifiers, like if we were playing Exalted or Legend of the Five Rings or
Torg.
What was that?
Torg
or L5R or Seven Seas or fucking any game that gives you actual situational modifiers. Yeah, I'll actually put some effort in. But if I know that, look, we're hard coded. This is what's going to happen if you do that. The best you're going to do is maybe get an advantage or a +2 to your roll and a +2 damage at top. Like there's a certain point where you're like, fuck it, I don't care about a +2. You're just taking the fun out of the game and turning it into a mathematical war game. Yes, because that's what this game is. It's boring as shit, unless you make it interesting. But hey, I have the first infantry division behind me because everybody had to bring their cohorts and their minions and their support assets along with. No, we're going on a company combat scale, a combat engagement here, guys.
Yeah, that's kind of where my game's going.
Yeah, it's like okay, guys, are we ready to put down a full infantry platoon combat here? Like, here's my 28 dudes and your 28 dudes, and we're going to have at least. But since we need to have at least 2 NPCs for every two enemies for every one. So it's now it's a 28 on 56 infantry engagement across terrain, and at this point it's like, I don't care. We're going like it's a firefight. I'm just gonna find myself a wall to hide behind and just like fuck it. I'm just gonna do. But it just turns into that as what the game turns into. It's a war game, and people wonder why I am fully okay with when we're playing a role-playing game to go, nah, I can sit out this combat. I don't have to be in this fight. Yeah. What do you mean?
I hear.
What was that?
Oh, I hear you describe all this, and all I could think of is someone starts describing high-level combat to someone like, oh, so you're playing Warhammer 40K? No. Well, it certainly sounds like it.
Something Warhammer Fantasy Battles. Same thing. Early edition, before we hit 100 miniature battles, before they started simplifying things in 6th through 10th edition. And back when we used to have squad on squad combat in second edition, yeah, this is exactly what it was like. It was fun but miserable because you're playing for 4 hours to kill 12 dudes, and it's okay. It's fun, but there's a certain point where you're just like, nah, I don't have to be part of this fight. Well, don't you want XP? Yeah, I want XP, but I'm one guy. But I'm not bringing my fire support squad with me, like that guy over there, and the other person who's bringing enough archers to murder everyone. Did we lose everybody?
No, I'm still here.
No,
okay.
We got Six Nations is on mute right now.
Okay, but no, it's just this idea that we're playing this game, and it's just kind of crazy. And yeah, I want to roll dice too. I want to be cool in combat, but I'm more somebody who wants to have interesting one-on-one combat rather than squad-on-squad combat or platoon-on-platoon combat.
Yeah,
and so that's why I'm happy to walk away from a fight. So
yeah, I hear Kai talk about the way he wants fights to be. It's like that's part of the reason why I am building up the game I'm working on the way I am, because I starting off with Palladium, love the dynamic fight. I love to be able to parry. I love to be able to dodge. But there is still aspects of the game that I've felt were lacking, such as when I put in counter strikes. You can actually And there are even
We're
the
pops.
possibility of building your entire strategy of just being a Counter-Strike fighter. You never do a primary strike. You always Counter-Strike. And I'm also trying to make it. I'll have to do play testing for this. I'm trying to make it so low. Actually, low level is the gritty battles. That's where you're like, oh shit, I can easily be die, or you're going to be going for long-term battles. A high level battle, or unless you're fighting another human, which you're not supposed to fight that often unless you're in a war, it's going to be very quick because there's not much that can keep up with the high level power. I'm trying to make this a little bit anime. But with that said, I would like combat to be dynamic enough that even at high level, it's not just one shot kill. Because then there's no fun.
You're gonna. I hate to say it, but if you're gonna run for more of a more anime-based game, if you ever look at how the game, like early on, it's all you know, protagonist against generic trash, where they get to show off how awesome they are, and then suddenly somebody good shows up. A player character quality character shows up, and from that point on, the flavor of the game changes, and the flavor of that series you watched changes. You're no longer It's no longer mooks. It's now named person who's got special abilities and tricks that can match a player, and then that arc ends, and then the next big bad guy shows up, and then there are mooks that are all named that you have to fight your way through to get to them, and you rinse, lather, repeat, unless you're going to play that's just how. It's not just anime, but this is also how your comic books work. This is how your novels work. This is how fiction in general, because you're aiming at the idea of you're playing a superior human. I don't want to say a superhero. You're playing a superior human. You're better than anybody else. You're cream of the crop. You're top 1%. You're the protagonist. You're not normal. You're not average. You're always the one person who's going to be able to stop the bad guy, unless you're going to embrace the Incredibles quote of if everybody's special, nobody's special. But at that point, you take away some of the power fantasy that is role-playing games, and suddenly it's like, when you tell a player, you're not special. And I know this is where some people get all gritty and angry when the idea that when you suggest that NPCs can have character levels too, and can be classed like players, and they're like, well, how does that make a player special? And you're like, you're not. But if everybody's special, nobody's special. How am I cool and how am I amazing? You're not. And the thing is that when you watch, I know shonen animes are the basis for so many things, but so many other stuff. You have the main characters, and then the principal main character cast, who is the hero that everyone has to write about. But you don't ever get the idea that, well, what does everybody else do? Well, how does anyone else survive in a world where everyone's as powerful as the main characters if nobody's as powerful as the main characters? Well, my players have to be the ones who push the story, and it revolves around them, and I understand that, but not really. So I guess that's kind of where I don't. Oh, how best to put this? My players are. I think this last week or so, I've been putting a lot of thought into the idea of do players have to be special? Because I know how you said, well, in Palladium, players shouldn't fight other players. And I'm like, no, players should fight players. Player characters should fight people of equal capability to players. Well, people will die really, really fast that way. And I'm like, as it should be. Players are powerful. Players are deadly. Players are monsters that hit hard. Why shouldn't everyone else be that way? Well, my players will die really quick. And I'm like, good. Players should die if they're stupid. Combat shouldn't be something that you just want to do. You should actually be kind of like, yes, I'm the most badass person on the fucking battlefield. That's the mentality you gotta go into. But you're not. You might be the best, but you're only better by a +1 or a +2. Is your AC able to keep up with that? Probably not.
No.
And what was that?
No, the AC is not enough to keep up with this.
No. And that GM who was trying to recruit me into playing D&D got kind of pissy about the idea that I'm suggesting the idea that when you're playing D&D, there's only 2 armor classes. The guy who's number 1 and everybody else. Everybody else is wearing a t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Plate, shield, super defense, t-shirt. Because you're going to tune all of your fights to hit plate man. Everybody else doesn't matter unless you can find some way to match plate man. So I had one player who stacked dodges and defense and dex and armor and magical armors and parries and that was it, because he realized that was the only way he'd be able to go toe to toe with. He was 2 up in fighting, defense. He's putting massive defense. He's fighting defensively. He's putting attack into his defense, and that was the only way that he knew that when it came time to go fight the main villain, the big bad evil guy, that he would have a way to not die in 2 hits. Because he's also a subscriber to my theory that no matter what level you are, you only have 3 hit points. You either have 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits, or 4 hits, because the bad guy is going to hit you like a freight train. And unless you have a massive AC so you can just deflect and prevent him from hitting you 70% of the time, because boy, GMs, we all like to overinflate the attack value of our bad guys to the point where it's an embarrassing joke. Wow, Mr. Plate Guy is getting hit 60% of the time. Oh shit. The rest of us might as well be fucking standing around, in our underwear, because that's all our armor is. He's hitting Tank Man for half his blood pool. Oh god, he smacked him so hard, 2/3 of his blood just fell out of him. Oh shit.
That was a part where I just laughed last game, because I threw 3 alchemists in there along with 3 wizards, and the wizards and the alchemists took turns every other round targeting a few player characters with touch attack spells or the touch attack bombs, and the players were like, I can't handle this. I can't handle. Man, you guys kind of disappoint me.
Yeah. Well, it's because players aren't used to players don't think about it enough to get to the point where they abstract out damage rates and hit values. And when you start to sit back, this is a lot of what happens when you're sitting here talking to other old fucks who are drinking, doing shots of whiskey in a basement, and after all the kids have gone to sleep, and you're just sitting here sipping booze and doing statistics out, and then realizing that when you can just start peeling away all the math and all the levels and bonuses, and then you come down to 75% hit rate, right? Yeah, that's about right. Why and at that certain point when you start peeling it all away and you realize what's going on, and you're sitting back going, do I need to even actually work on my character anymore? And the answer is no, you don't. Why? because no matter what, the GM is going to hit us at a 60%. A 60%. No matter what we do, no matter how much armor we layer on, no matter how much DR, the moment we put DR on, he's going to start putting an armor pen on all the bad guys, or he's going to up the damage by the amount equal to our DR, so it doesn't fucking matter. And it's like, all right, so we're going to get hit, and I have 4 hit points. 4 hits, then I'm dead. Sorry, 5 hits, I'm dead. 4 hits, I'm down. And you start doing the math out like that, and you're sitting here back and going, man, what are we doing here, guys? And you got some people going, I'm walking about with a bathrobe, but you're the cleric. You should be just as much. No, I can't afford to be like. I can't afford to keep up with the armor race that that the tank has to bankrupt himself so that way he can have a 50% hit rate. Sorry, he's only able to hit the bad guy at a 50% rate, and he's getting hit at a 60% rate, and we can't. None of us can keep up with that. Well, why can't you? Well, the wizard, he can't ever hope to keep up with that armor. No, not really. Okay, so he's going to wear a bathrobe. I'm going to wear a bathrobe. Well, you're a cleric. You can wear a shield and wear a plate. No, we're playing in a more newer edition, so I can only wear medium armor. Oh, yeah, I gotta have a shield and medium armor, but I don't have the feet to blow to get me to have full heavy armor. Well, I could, but I would be less efficient elsewhere. And players start spitting out efficiency numbers like this, and the rogue is like, I'm just gonna wear a nice outfit. The druid's like, nah, I'm fucking wearing a nice outfit. And the other person who's wearing plate is the fucking fighter. And that's the point when I start going, maybe I should start giving everyone some kind of. This was the actual genesis of where my idea of maybe I should start giving an active defense to everybody to come from.
I'm tossing back and forth on active defense.
Yeah.
My players don't know this because we don't talk about this part of the thing, but an active defense is kind of like in Rifts whenever you guys have a dodge bonus or parry bonus, and you get a die roll to maybe avert damage or getting smacked.
Yeah.
And I've been hemming and hawing on this because I saw a version of this way back in the day in a 3.0 book. Skip Williams wrote it, and I think it was Advanced Player's Handbook for 3.0, written by published by Swords and Wizardry. But during the combat, when somebody swung at you, you had an option to parry, to dodge. If you had a shield or staff or two-handed weapon, you could try to block it. But if you try to block it with a weapon, you got negatives on it. But still, you got a chance to add in your formidable strength. But you also had your armor bonus, which it might be just a +1 because you're wearing underwear, or it might be a +12 because you've got full plate. But you always rolled your armor bonus and whatever you chose at the same time whenever somebody would try to attack you, because no matter what, there was always a chance for the armor to do the right thing and block you when it mattered most. However, if it was a touch attack, your armor wouldn't figure into the roll, so don't roll that d20 even. You're just either blocking or you're dodging or parrying it. Good luck on the parry, it's a touch attack. But it was an interesting system, and I never could get it to play because my players hated it. They felt it took away from the flavor of the game, which it didn't. It just added one more die roll, which meant another 10 seconds in the combat round where you had to figure out combat modifiers to a die roll.
Yeah.
And I got such protesting from it, so I've not implemented it in my game. I've thought about it so many times, and I actually, if I were to tell people, like, I'm going to give you a partial character sheet for you, and it's going to have, like, just the description of what you've got with no mechanics on it. I'm going to have your real character sheet over here behind the DM screen. And it's going to have your hit points, your armor class, all the mathematics. You're not even going to roll your dice to figure things out for you. You're just going to tell me what you want to do because I'm tired of the mechanics of the game. Because my players are mechanics and they want to fucking try to win every scenario. And I want you to fucking role play instead. If you want to just roll dice and do shit, there's a game of Descent or Arkham Horror or whatever there is out there somewhere for you. But I could run this whole game just me rolling a dice by myself, but I can't play your character. So I can instead play the fucking mechanics side behind the GM shield. It'd be like you're playing a fucking handheld game that just takes longer to do resolution for combat rounds. If you're willing to do that. But in the process, in the trade-off, you're actually getting to play a character blindly without an idea of how the actual mechanics work. And I've thought about doing that so many times. I want to do that. Part of me wants to do that. In fact, I might do that at a convention with the system.
Hey, give it a try. My solution to this was actually to put a dodge and parry skill as a skill.
You already have it.
Yeah.
You already have it. The parry skill
Mhm.
be your dexterity modifier plus your base to hit.
I know.
Or your dodge would be factored into your reflex save.
But the thing here is that my one counter to that is that your saving throw and an attack modifier, at that point it's only it will only benefit the fighter class, and you still have the I'm going to die in 2 hits everybody else because nobody else has a full attack value. So reflex doesn't go up nearly fast enough to keep up with things, and it just doesn't, like, when I hear the option of, well, you can just roll your armor class, that's like no, you're now making your AC worse half the time for a chance at being better. My attack value is good. Like, if I'm a full attack value class, fighter, paladin, ranger, sure, might be good. Swashbuckler I would be able to do it, but Swashbuckler has built-in mechanics that do that. But it also at that point puts you into, well, how do you keep characters who would normally turn into street pizza in 2 attacks? And especially when you got people who are running around with 3-4 attacks, who are at that point, when you have the people who would just go, I'm going to hit you with my first, second, and third attack. I might miss you on my fourth. And that's not counting if I have offhand attacks, speed, offhand attacks, haste, or any other bonus actions. Suddenly you're looking at the idea of, you better hope I miss with all this, and with eight or more possible attacks, and then you watch people just disintegrate. And there's that certain point where it's just like, I almost wonder, like, and this is actually where forcing people to actually move became almost required. Like, you can't stand still. The moment you stand still, you die.
Mm-hmm.
A 5 foot, you have to move more than 5 foot steps. So suddenly everything became, everyone's got, like, the only way to actually survive would be to, and this is where my game moved towards, and I hate to say I partially encourage it, but it was the only way that within the rules, my players figured out how not to die. And that was everyone takes spring attack, or everyone does one move action, your one attack, and then your move action to disengage and go somewhere else. And force the other guy to have to use a move action so he can't full attack. And at that point, okay, so we've now got the idea that nobody stands still. Everyone's moving 20 to 30 feet constantly. Everyone's moving 10 to 30 feet every single round, and that's just how things are. Now all your multiple attacks don't fucking matter, and having one parry, the one parry you get per round, that one parry or one dodge or one deflection ability skill, suddenly now goes, okay, I move, you make your one attack, I counter your one attack, I don't take damage, and suddenly people go, okay. It became really important at that point of, can you pin somebody down? Like, players started to think about the strategic option of, okay, if we can pin them down so they can't move, we can butcher them. And because everyone now realized that, wait, so my every attack hits for 25 hit points on average. So I hit for 25 to 40 to 60, and then I hit you again, and then I hit you again, and unless somebody's got inflated HP, and my players I didn't like it. My players, because I can do basic math, my players can do basic math, and suddenly when a person suddenly starts taking 400 points of damage to die before they start to die, and they all go, "This is bullshit. How come we don't have 500 hit points?" And it suddenly allowed me to deflate the hit point totals down to, okay, so it's no longer we're playing MMO raid boss, because, all right, guys, we've got to burn off the first 400 hit points so we can get into phase 2 of the fight. Okay, at 400, he's blooded now, and he's now going to pull out his big guns at this point. Now we need to pull out all the shit we've been holding so we can burn that last 400 down so we can get him to his 200 last hit points. Oh, okay, we can do that. It's like, what, 4 or 5 rounds of combat? Yeah, okay, we can do that.
But a 7th-level archer like what Connell has, he's
right.
Yeah, and then when you finally burn through the last 200, you're done, 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 done.
Sorry.
Done.
Right.
I think I'm getting it wrong, but still.
Yeah, you hear the Terminator theme. Yeah. And that's kind of trash. It's really kind of trash. That's also every dragon, lich, and demigod fight you're ever going to play.
Yeah.
There's a giant, 300, 400 hit points. Dragon, 300 hit points. He's also got DR and other things. And you're like, oh, God. And at that point, you're just like, okay, so what gimmick are we going to have to deal with to fight this monster? And you're saying, going, and I guess after early on, we got a bunch of young players who don't know everything. Oh yeah, gimmicks are awesome. You can, but at a certain point, you got players who sit there and go, okay, he's got a DR of 20. Are you using meta knowledge to know what stat block? No, I'm merely I'm merely insinuating we've done 25 points of damage, and you said you barely nicked him. Okay, he's got DR. Or we hit him and he deflects all of the arrows. Okay, he's got the monk ability to deflect arrows. Cool, got it. He's parrying some strikes. Okay, he's got parry. He's got the swashbuckler abilities. He's got he's doing this thing. Okay, he's got this ability. You can start to figure out how mechanics work, and unless your GM is just pulling shit out of their ass. And at that point, you're just sitting here going, and the more shit they pull out of their ass, the more it's just, I'm just making it up and I don't follow the rules. And at that point, it becomes, so, hey GM, when are we allowed to kill him? What? I'm not adding more hit points. Bullshit, you're not. I'm making the fight more challenging to make it last a little longer, and we've done 600 hit points damage to this guy in 3.5 and 4 rounds, guy. We've
I
all been pouring.
say that like I feel kind of like you're targeting me, but if you watch the fight where the party actually beat the red dragon like
Yeah,
last game, like they actually totaled up like 650 hit points, but that was because Helga got 2 critical hits in with her Earthshaker Maul. So yeah, that's a times 3, possibly times 4 weapon if the right cards come up on the crit cards. So go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm not targeting you, Bruce. I've been in enough games where I've watched GMs do this, and fuck, I did it for a little bit until somebody called me on my bullshit.
The thing that I've started doing
Yeah,
is like the bigger monsters, like they have kind of not a reserve set of hit points, but they have more hit points than what the system is originally written for. Because I just don't believe that a fucking even a CR3 ogre has more than 42 hit points.
yeah.
He's he's able to soak some damage, and so what I do, he's large. I take whatever hit points I see in the monster write up, and then I give him times 2 of his constitution added on. Now he usually dies at like -10 hit points. I don't try to like allow them to staunch or anything because usually like the players after a fight's over, the heroes would naturally go around slicing the throats of the bad guys. You're not getting up, no lawyer for you, that sort of thing.
Right.
And they would go around and do that. But I don't like the way that the hit points are calculated for monsters because I just feel that, oh wow, a CR20 dragon has only 150 more hit points than a barbarian of a 20th level. No, I'm not really into that. So like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna fight if you fight a colossal dragon, he's got 16 times his 16 times his constitution added into his hit points. So yes, there's a lot you've got to chew through.
Hmm.
Also, if you're a 20th level fighter, you should be doing an average of minimum 35 points of damage a hit. Minimum. And if
Yep.
not, you're poorly put together and your DM does like a slow paced, lower powered game, and that's great and wonderful, but I still feel that like there's there's a bit of a misunderstanding between your DM and a high level game. That's just me. I like giving extra hit points just based on size for monsters. If you attack a pixie, pixies don't have as many hit points as they're written up for. They have less.
Yeah.
Why? Because there's less space for the pixie to have its physical form. So if you cut a pixie for like 20 damage, that's usually like enough for the pixie to realize, oh God, I've got to flee this battle. I've got to go. They're not going to be a pixie barbarian and just like rage for 7 rounds and blindly attack you, like chewing on your leg or chewing on your kneecap. Get smacked
Swat the
once,
fly type of.
like I'm done. I'm flying off. Fuck this. I'm turning invisible. Get me out of here.
Yep.
And I know that might seem a little BS-ish, but I try to pride myself on running a fair game. And sometimes fair doesn't mean like it's by the book. I look at the book and like, no, Dimension Door is not a 2-person teleport. Dimension Door is I create an orange portal here, I create a blue portal over there, then LOS, or maybe behind cover if I can roll this knowledge, arcane, or spellcraft roll, whichever of the two is necessary. I have the player roll that, and they make a detour from here to there, but it's no further apart than 200 feet. 300 feet at max for 20th level. But like D door is just that, and it stays open for 6 seconds unless you close it at a certain point per you. I don't like the way a lot of
And that
stuff.
falls into the GM, bending or adjustment of the rules.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be according to oil. It just has to be according to your style of play and how it fits in your campaign.
yeah. And my players were throwing a fit about that last week, but you're like, no, look at how it is in the book. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Like, I've been running a game for years, and in 3.5, I saw a version of Dimension Door that made a lot of sense. And then Portal, of all games, Portal gave me the perfect Dimension Door.
Mm-hmm.
And it stays open for a limited amount of time. And once it opens, it stays open for 6 seconds, unless the caster wills it otherwise. So you can have 50 people go through Portal Blue and come out Portal Orange within 6 seconds. 50 of them can cram right through there, like going through Susie Henderson on homecoming weekend. And you can do that. But that's how that works. Teleport's a little different. It takes the caster plus 3 people plus 1 person per 4 combat levels, or per 4 caster levels, and they can go from point A to point B. It could be across hundreds of miles, but that's teleport. A little different. Anyway, I'll shut up here.
No, it works.
It's sound.
No, I'm just yeah.
After watching Teleport and Bruce's high level campaign, it's like, well, that's a better teleport than Palladium.
What's
Palladium?
Palladium?
I love Palladium, but you can teleport like 250 pounds and yourself. So if your gear weighs more than 250 pounds, you're leaving it behind, some of it behind automatically.
Yeah.
It's like, and even at max level, you're maybe like, it's like 5 pounds per level. And since they don't go by caster level, they go by per level you got it. And that's a fairly high level spell. You aren't going to go more. I don't think you go past 400 pounds, if that even. I think it's like 300 pounds or something. Like it's you do not get to teleport much. And teleport someone else, forget it. It's just you.
I miss teleport having the failure chart.
Oh, I love the failure chart.
That's the best. One of the best things that ever came out of it.
I'll admit I understand a failure chart. It's just that Palladium's teleport. Oh, you are teleport, such a badass spell. Not really. You're actually better off walking. It takes more time, but you get to keep your shit.
Well, conversely, I am gonna guess that it's not meant to be a party, a party transport device. It's meant more for. But then again, what's the range on teleport in Palladium?
I'm sorry, what?
What's the range on teleport for Palladium?
Right off the top of my head, I'm not entirely sure, but it's a decent distance. I think it's within a mile.
So it's only a mile distance teleport?
I think so. It's like it's far for how much weight you can carry, but it's not that far for what I would consider a teleport spell. I mean, this really is bad guy emergency run spell, and that's about it.
Okay. Because D&D has a range bracket for its stuff. It's oh god, I remember what.
I think teleport is a minimum range of 100 miles plus 10 miles per level.
Yeah,
something like that.
With rifts, you can at least. I think as technology improves, the ability to import begins to dwindle because of how fast you can actually move. But teleport also has I miss the grand glory of having to know your target and then having a chart that could put you in the sky, under the ground, 100 miles off course. You have no idea where you're at. It's got a failure rate. Like, oh man, I don't. it's one of those things where I know Pathfinder screwed it up immensely.
What do you mean?
Well, okay. Second, let's see, Pathfinder 2e made it so you lose out on a lot of the teleport stuff and variations, and you started getting this the ability to upcast teleport into high level spells that gave you suddenly all the teleport without error, and teleport is now actually a so sixth level is where you get teleport. Congratulations, it's teleport. We all know it. Teleport without error because I'm sorry. The old 1,000-mile teleport became seventh level. The ability to teleport anywhere on the planet is now eighth level. And ninth level is anywhere in the same solar system, but you're only off course by about if you know on that planet, you're within 100 miles of where you want to be on another planet. And 10th level is anywhere in the galaxy. Pathfinder 2 is stupid.
I believe that.
Because there's no way in fuck I would allow this kind of shit to happen. Oh, and the deviation is based on a 1% deviation per God, how to say, yeah. 1%. If you travel 100 miles, you're off course somewhere by 1 mile. So it's 1% of distance traveled is your deviation point. Wow. Okay. So I teleport at 8th level anywhere on the planet. So you can't. It gets so dumb. The math gets stupid, and I don't really particularly. I'm like, why are you do? Why? Why did you do it like this? And no, we're just gonna go with something strange. And I'm just like, yeah, but it takes 10 minutes to cast. Whoop-de frickin' do. It's just one of those things where it's like, I'm not a bit like. I think this is why I kind of trashed teleport in my own campaign world, because I'm just like, I don't want to deal with it. I want travel. I want travel.
Hey,
But
dog.
again, teleport also kind of sucks. It's like you and up to 4 targets teleport. Okay, that's not bad. But I also want to have the older 3rd edition and older 2nd edition where it's like, okay, did you scry? Do you know where you're going to? Do you have a chance of failure? Like, teleport should have risk. So that way it encourages you to go, we're going to go by horse. Unless you really have to get there fast. But at that point, no, somebody's going to eventually go, no, the car is far more reliable. If you build, I'm going to build a flying machine that can do 50 miles an hour. Oh, that's slow. Not really. 50 miles an hour isn't that slow. And, 10 hours of flight, you're half a distance of a teleport. And I get to know what's going on, and I can change course and direction, and, I know where I'm going at 50 miles an hour. Oh, I built a 100-mile-an-hour plane. One day my flying machine can do a mere 100 miles an hour, slow as shit. So it's a Cessna. I built a Cessna, a lawnmower with wings, and the slowest thing in the sky. And I just tool around like I'm a fat, overweight boomer with too much money on my hands, and I do what teleport. I do what a high level wizard spends his entire life studying to do, and I'm like, Hey, me and four of my friends can ride in my Cessna while we fly across the country. And the wizard's like, I spent my entire life learning how to be a wizard so I can teleport and do what you do with a lawnmower. Yup. Sure as shit. And oh wait, I built a slightly bigger one. Now I can bring me and 10 of my friends and our stuff. Oh, so you got a Piper Cub? Yup. Wee. And you just hear two little lawnmowers doing about 120 miles an hour, and you're doing better than a wizard. And you're faster than the wizard who casts fly. I cast fly. I'm a wizard. Yay! Gliding along at slightly faster than walking pace, and suddenly. So this is why I know that once somebody figures out how to fucking do this, people are gonna go, magic will retard everything. No, somebody's gonna because the glider exists in D&D. It does. The Zeppelin exists in D&D. In Pathfinder, it's been in various versions of the equipment manuals for a long time, and it's like, well, the glider doesn't have a power source, and I'm like, okay, so you get a bottle of wind.
Gravity is not a power source. Are you fucking kidding me?
I know. Well, you don't have the ability to gain lift. You're like, okay, so I just do some ultra light gliding, and I find heat cells, and I just go. You can. I'm going faster than you. It's all that fucking matters. And it's like, okay, so I just do something that just pushes me through the air at this speed, and I maintain my altitude. Oh no, I levitate. I do some other weird stuff, and my glider now, and the evolution from goblin on like rogue who's gliding off a tower with glider wings to man. What if we built those wings better? Oh hey, our hot air balloon, which is what your Zeppelin pretty much is, but it's powered by a guy who's pedaling. Which, oh no, congratulations, you understand what gears, chain, and a drive system and a primitive gear system and propeller is, because that's when you start to extrapolate. Once again, we're reaching to Blaine is going thinking too hard, and why there has to be a god of diamond appraisal, because hot air plus propeller. Okay, if I pedal hard, I get motive force. If I turn rudder, skyship turns. I have a Zeppelin. It doesn't take much to go from that to airship to Zeppelin. It doesn't take long to go from pedal plane, from glider to rigid air wing that actually goes somewhere, because you have glider wings figured out. D&D has already figured out wing form before centuries before the modern world figures it out. And on top of that, it's collapsible. So you're doing Batman, flip your wings out, and then glide down on top of it because you're the paladin of justice of the night, and smite. You punch people for smite. You smite with your punches, and you bring justice on wings of darkness because you are rogue Batman, and
I'm Rogue Batman.
Yeah, you can do this shit. Like I am glider paladin. Fear me. Boom. And the things that you can assume because you have to assume, well, the GM, I don't want to allow that. Okay, you're not allowing it, but it's in there. The systems are in place. It doesn't take long for someone to figure it out. I know I kind of glazed over this because we're always playing D&D, and we're always looking for loot and treasures in ruins. We're definitely in the case of something greater than us preceded us that left all of this shit behind, and we're ignorant children who have no idea what we're doing. Somebody figured out all of this crap. The fact that we have ships that, if you have certain books, ships that, if they have a magical keel that can sail across the land, who would, why do you need, is this a relic? Is this a recently developed thing? We have airships. Who built them first? Is it a lost art? Is it a revolutionary new concept? Well, obviously not. Everyone seems to understand it, so it's one of those things where you're like, okay, is this knowing where this came from? It's like there's this feel that when you're going through ancient ruins that have ancient artifacts that nobody knows how they were built, somebody had to know how they were built. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to subscribe to certain people's a God created it bullshit. I'm sorry, I don't.
I completely understand that, and I would say, no, there was a previous epoch of another race or another era of things like us that were here before us.
Yeah.
Up to us to figure it out. Just like the fact that just 2 weeks ago, we were given the mystery of all those fucking wells underneath the fucking the
pyramids.
The pyramids. Now, for some odd reason, I feel like I need to go grab Ruben so Ruben can explain fucking Nikolai Tesla's theory of how they're fucking power plants.
Right. And
get your ass to Mars.
Yeah. And the fun thing here is that D&D magic feels like we're infants running around with fragments of a greater knowledge that was lost. Nobody has a full spell book. Nobody has a full grasp of what the power of what I'm not going to say mankind, of what civilization had done in the past. We don't know how to make the Rana 7 parts. We don't know how to make the flame. The Helm of Brilliance. All of these artifacts were made by someone. So when you're running around a dungeon that's under a ruined castle that somehow is full of all these artifacts, some greater age made it. The spells are just fragments. Nobody, and of course, you're just people who. You don't I'm going to say that clerics don't understand magic, druids don't understand magic, wizards don't understand magic, sorcerers, fuck it, they don't understand it. They just fucking know how to do it because it's in their blood. But the idea that nobody really understands what magic can do, what it does, which is the whole reason why you're digging around for arcane tomes, lost spells, and why everything's so codified is because nobody really understands. You're just children. Okay. Have you read Chemical for Leibowitz?
Have I read Chemical what?
Okay, it's a book called A Canticle for Leibowitz. It's an old sci-fi book.
I've heard of it. I haven't read it.
It's a hard read, but not. It's a fun read, but it's really weird at the same time. But the thing here is that the book is in 3 sections, and each section is 600 years after the previous book, after the previous section. Nuclear war happens in the 1960s, and the story picks up 600 years later in the ruins. And it shows where mankind was and how, at this point in time, they have fragments of the knowledge of what we had in the 60s. Burnt parts of books, fragmentary things. They follow what the books tell them by written. Well, this is how it was done. This is how it's always done. They have forgotten the concepts on why everything happened. Now, section 2. It's now 600 years after the previous section. So it's now been 1,200 years since the Flame Deluge, also known as nuclear war, as Armageddon. And people are starting to now ask questions again. The age of ignorance has passed. People are asking questions once more. But now nobody knows the fundamentals behind, like, they have the diagrams of our machinery, but they're in pieces of it. There's no full blueprint of, say, a '68 Camaro. A '68 Ford Mustang. But they have a blueprint for a carburetor, or the parts for that. Let's say if you do this thing right, you can generate electricity with it. But they have no idea what it does. What would you do with this power? Well, all it is just simply the stator and the magnets that are spinning around inside it. So it's a generator, but they have no idea on how to build the engine that goes into the generator. But people are starting to ask the questions again, and then finally somebody shows up and goes, "Hey, I put together piece A, piece B, piece C, put it together, and hey, look, here's part of a puzzle, and we can now start to reconstruct knowledge." Now, the third part of the book is 600 years after that. Mankind is back to where we are, and once again, but a little bit further ahead of us. Remember, this is still the 50s and 60s, where they thought that we would be an interplanetary species by some point in the 2000s, and so mankind has once again rediscovered nuclear weapons, gone back to space. We're back to where we were. It took 1,800 years, and they're back. Now, the thing here is that, and that part doesn't matter. What I always feel like that when we're playing D&D is that we're in the age of ignorance. Like, we're looking at the burnt fragments of a greater civilization that came before, and we don't know. All we know is that this 3 pages of burnt notes that somebody saved from the grand bonfire that was the end of civilization said, this is how you wiggle your fingers and you cast fireball. Do you really need batshit? No, probably not. But the batshit was something that somebody figured out a century ago, and that's why we still roll batshit in our fingers when we say the incantations, draw out the mana, and throw a fireball. And so it feels like, well, this is how you make a magic item. Well, why is this the way we do everything? There's no one who's making the leap to ask the question, why? Why are we doing this? Why is this the way that magic functions? Like, why is that if I pray to a god a certain way, I get the ability to do this effect? Why if I pray to a tree, I do this and I get a certain effect? No, it's okay. We're ignorant. It's fantastic. It's magic. We don't have to explain shit. We just work. But it always feels like D&D and all of its clones are literally waiting for somebody to take all the various pieces and reassemble them to get a fragment to know where to start rebuilding the civilization that was lost. Whatever civilization it was, whatever precursor that came before, there's just this feeling that we are just inferior wretches wandering around playing with toys that we were never meant to understand, that we were supposed to understand, but thanks to simpletons, ignorance, stupid people, barbarians, and other insignificant fools, we are just now living in. We somehow, over the centuries, forgotten about the ruins of the past. We've forgotten about what we did. The elves might remember, but they're not talking. The dwarves don't give a shit because Well, they survived. Humans, we don't give a shit. Everyone else is shorter lived than us. Fuck them. And and because we're playing pretty much Conan the Barbarian at the same time, which Conan's awesome, but hey, but no, we're not playing Conan. We're playing a cartoonish parody of Conan, and it feels like if the GMs would allow us to do anything with magic, with technology, with civilization, any amount of organization, any amount of control, or just some kind of centralization to reestablish safety and knowledge once more, that things could go in so many directions. But we're being forced into a stagnant point where nothing changes. Like, this is how magic will always be. This is how it's supposed to be. It's religious dogma at that point. It's like it is. It's verboten. You are not allowed to think. You're not allowed to create new. You're not allowed to create anything that deviates from the lines. You're not allowed to put two and two together. Two and two will never equal four because you're not allowed to add. You're not allowed to extrapolate. The way the universe is was the way that it will always be, because that is what the divine creator has created for you, and that is how it will always be. Just accept it, consume product. Continue with my adventure, go fight the Dark Lord, but the Dark Lord's like, I also don't know what's going on. Or maybe he does. Because the Dark Lord's like, I'm the only one who knows anything, because I'm an ancient evil who knows how to put together things again, and that's why I'm the Dark Lord. And you're like, why? Why? Like, the world is full of stupid people, and you could become the candle that actually reignites knowledge upon knowledge and invention. You're probably wrong. Your assumptions are probably wrong because, well, you don't have all the parts. It's like we don't know how to recreate shit. It's that simple truth. And now we're playing in the Dark Ages. They didn't know the glories of Rome. And you're playing in the average, right before the Renaissance, standard fare thing. You tell them, what was that?
It's kind of like if the four of us,
Yeah,
the nuclear bomb hit, everybody else died, and the four of us had to figure out how to make the Demon Core to get Clinton Power Plant back up online.
yeah.
What the fuck are the four of us going to do to make a fucking Demon Core? Fuck, we're fucked.
We're fucked. We might be able to put together something, scramble something together, but it won't be enough. It won't be anything. But we can sure write down ideas.
So I got to ask now, who's really the heroes in this world? Is the heroes the guy that can punch like Doctor Doom, or are the heroes the super nerds that super science fiction used to fucking write about, but you haven't seen a super science fiction short story in a fucking Dead Tree magazine for over 30 years.
No.
The last 60 years, because that shit fell apart thanks to the fact that all these guys that grew up on Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon thought that's the only cool science fiction there is, and they kind of polluted sci-fi after 1976. We don't really reward STEM anymore.
No.
We really don't. And I'm not trying to be
familiar with
a piece of shit, but I need to make it clear, like, we have to reward the smart characters. We have to reward the characters that can fabricate, that can make stuff for a tabletop game.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
tradesman.
What?
The tradesman. I was going to interject with you all familiar with Xenozoic Tales, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs?
Yes.
Okay, so the old blood mechanics are the remnants of human society after the post-cataclysm that have an inkling of technology. So they're finding old tech and they're revitalizing it, and then they're using what resources they have. So, like, okay, we got this Cadillac or 57 Chevy, whatever, and we need it to run. So what do? Oh, we got a whole shitload of bat guano or dino guano. Let's make a gasifier out of it, and then we'll power it by dino shit, and we'll go cruising and look for tire remnants and see if we can get this jalopy from point A to point B
Yeah.
while dodging dinosaurs and feral humans and weird mutants and God knows what. So, like in that scenario that you're talking about, the person with some inkling of technology or magical knowledge would be the breadwinner, the person with influence and power in this new age in society. So yeah, smart characters would get rewarded with more technology, more magic, whatever the situation is.
But the thing is that we as DMs have to allow it to happen.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And we just kind of need the. It's too easy to just. I guess it comes down to because we don't give enough mechanics.
Reading that about Fistrozo. What's the game Kenshi? What's better, fragment axe or plank?
I go with plank.
I would say plank. I would say the handle. Calvinani says this book was just recommended to me in a Facebook group. The book you just talked about 12 minutes ago.
Canticle for Leibowitz.
Yeah, Canticle for Leibowitz. It's a very thought-provoking book, especially at one point in the middle of the book where they build the first the first generator in 1,000 years gets built, and the first arc light in 1,000 since the flame deluge, since nuclear Armageddon, there has not been electric light until this monk who didn't understand a single rule, a single law, didn't know any of the concepts or fundamentals behind it, but he's pieced together from fragments of knowledge and these diagrams, built a kinetic generator and a light bulb. And the thing was at that point in the book, a natural philosopher, a scientist, a proto-scientist from somewhere else was coming in, and because it's been 1,000 years since the flame deluge, there was nobody left alive. There's no more scientists. There's no more educated men. Literacy has now dropped down to 2% for the world. Nobody knows. Barely anyone knows how to read. There's because of our very temporary construction styles, where nothing's built to last. So everything's been rusted away, turned into rubble and debris. There's no remnant. All of our cars and our planes have been turned into, long ago, been melted down into plowshares and tools. There's no remnant besides broken debris that we ever existed. There's nothing. So this guy is this scientist is coming here, and he thinks he's one of the first great scientists who's understanding the rules of mankind. He's asking the questions, and he's going to this great monastery where he's heard rumors that this monastery has managed to preserve relics of the 20th century in their basement for 1,200 years. And this has got to be bullshit. The Vatican vaults, fucking lies. There's no way they got anything valuable under there. It's all probably poppycock and lies and bullshit. Passed around by these religious folks. Religious folks have no idea what they've got actually anymore because they have been recording and copying this stuff repeatedly for 1,000 years. They have no idea what any of it means, but they've been writing it down and recopying it over and over again. But until the scientist shows up, and he's like, "It's all lies," and then they turn on the light switch for the first time, and he's like, "Wait, this shit's real? Electricity's real?" He's like, it's only a fundamental theory in my book. I've never tested this before. And it's like, you have a light bulb? And they're like, no, it's not really a light bulb. We don't have the tungsten to be able to, to make an actual filament for a bulb. So it's an arc light. And he's like, but it's so blindingly bright. And he's like, this is the first, like, how long have you had this? Oh, we just built the generator legitimately like a week and a half ago because we knew you were coming. So we wanted to test the theory. And he's like, what the? And suddenly he's like, this isn't a lie. You actually have knowledge in a basement, in a fucking candle-lit basement, and you've had all this. And he's like, well, yeah, it's our order's entire thing. He goes, I thought it was all fucking myth and bullshit. If we had this knowledge 100 years ago, we could have been progressing further than what, like, and he was like shocked and almost angry. The anger fades quickly because he now realizes he's got access to the bits and pieces and fragments, and he's like, this confirms so many theories. And he was like, yeah, his pride was hurt because he was no longer the inventor of everything. He was now just simply a rediscoverer, but now he managed to jumpstart and push things forward. Yeah, Canticle for Leibowitz is definitely you should read this book. It's an interesting story, and because it does not focus on one person. There's three main characters, and there's a few through lines through it, but you can see where concepts that would carry on in later fiction show up, much like how Dune is influential. Canticle for Leibowitz also is an influential thing. If you know what Comstar and BattleTech or the Adaptus Mechanicus is, this is the book that gave them life. And you'll understand what's going on, especially just the way it functions. It's a really, really good book. And when you turn that knowledge, that thought process to the idea of fantasy. And I say this because of the fact that, say we like Tolkien. It's a foundational book for fantasy. But you're also, again, you are in the diminishing remains of the third age. Like, you're at the tail end of the third age of mankind. It's of history. The elves don't know. The elves are a bare fragment of what they once were. Mankind is a bare fragment of what it once was. Civilization is a bare fragment of what it once was. You are fighting in the broken ruins of far greater civilizations. But in Tolkien, nobody bothers to ask the question of, could we ever regain what was lost? No. In that universe, entropy won. Entropy is winning. Everyone is supposed to diminish. That's the whole thing about his mentality is that
I'm just gonna say that as we go further in our timeline with the AI being forced down our throats,
mhm,
I would say the four of us on the panel, we probably don't want AI to go much further than yesterday.
yep,
And the reason is that we're mostly Gen X, maybe Gen Y, and we have a whole series of media. There's whole franchises that have been made famous because AI went wrong or
yeah,
AI went rogue and went after its creators. And
yeah,
most of us are scared shitless of that. And no matter what others might say, it's not going to change our minds. That's just how we are. We believe the magazine articles, we believe the movies that we read could become from science fiction to science fact very quickly. I don't need an AI girlfriend or an AI maid. I'm perfectly capable of hiring somebody that even doesn't belong in the United States to do those things that I would rather not have to pay for, but fine, I'll fucking pay for it, whatever. I'm perfectly capable of rather having a flesh and blood person do it than an AI with governed by an algorithm because the algorithm it it's not trustworthy. And no matter what people may say, no matter what anyone might view things, I will always view AI from a stance of paranoia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
And
okay
rightly
with
so.
the
I mean, look at
Butlerian
the
intrusive
media that's
value.
come out in
Go
the
ahead.
past couple of decades because of it.
Go ahead, 6 inch.
I was going to say, and rightly so, because of all the media that's come out in the last couple of decades because of it. You've got Skynet, you've got War Games. More recently, what was it? Uh, there was a couple of movies that came out with androids that ended up becoming emotional and like murdering humans. You also
Automata.
have uh,
iRobot is one classic.
it was what was the one with the guy that got the implant? You know, becoming
Oh,
paraplegic,
Upgrade.
gets the chip put into him. Upgrade,
Upgrade.
yeah.
Fucking great movie.
Like there's potential for artificial intelligence, but then you end up having like the Butlerian jihad, and
Yeah,
you got to fight the robots.
yeah. The abominable intelligences that enslaved
Hmm.
mankind. And yeah, you can understand now kind of where the Butlerian jihad came from and why it would be done.
I would embrace it. I would be happy we're there because either I'm going to die and it's suddenly not my problem anymore, or I get to live in a world where, like, I'm not told how many slices of bacon I can have by computer.
Yep.
One of those two is going to happen. Yeah,
Oh,
Upgrade was a fucking phenomenal film, Fischozo. That movie took us by surprise. We went and saw it. I went and bought it on my Apple ID. I've got the DVD to my left here. It's really required watching for anybody that wants to watch good sci-fi. It does a pretty good job of being pretty good sci-fi.
yep.
There's a small problem with that movie just for the fact that it leaves a door open for sequels, and they never walk through that door. They've made other films that they didn't need to. Like, come on, Bloomhouse, get back and make Upgrade Part 2 or V2. Although I will say that Megan V2 looks really good. Megan 2.0 looks really good.
Oh yeah.
Bloomhouse is like a 50-50 hit or miss.
Yeah,
You know, some of the
they're
movies are
modern day
solid.
Lionsgate.
Yeah,
Because remember back in the early 2000s, Lionsgate was either making a banger of a movie that you were showing off to your family, your mom, your dad, your cousins, your nephews, nieces, or they were making some abominable trash with like Jason Statham. And it was just like, well, here's another shitty film with quick cuts and edits and crappy fight choreography. Fuck this.
Well, you did say it was Jason Statham movie, so
Yeah, I'm sorry.
it's okay.
The actor who played Gray did not want to come back. That sucks. Would have been they probably just didn't offer him enough money. Most things I've seen require funds. Like, remember there was the Hobbit movies that came out, and there was a scene where they had to have Sauron and Elrond and Galadriel fighting off casting spells, akimbo, and just doing all sorts of fun magical bullshit that never happened in the books. But we got to bring back Saruman. Come on, get over here. And Christopher Lee's like, I'm not going to become part of your film. I'm 90 something odd years old. I don't need to do it. And so Peter Jackson says, I have so many millions of dollars for you, sir. Remember when you made Dracula? I love that movie. I wore out the beta tape on that. I want to see you do one more acting job before you pass. Come on, get on the plane. I've got millions of dollars for you. Or I guess I could get on the plane one last time. God bless him. I, uh, when he
I
You know what's
passed.
ironic about the Lord of the Rings movies is that the live action Lord of the Rings movies kicked ass, but you break down scene for scene, and it's basically a copy of the animated movies.
I'm not bitching.
Like, yeah, there's parts of the book in there, but it's not nearly what fans think it is. It's like shit. It's like fan fiction for the animated series,
Yeah,
I,
but I'm also a
but it's
big
done
fan
well.
of the Hobbit, the book cut where they cut everything that wasn't in the book out of the movies and then made one movie out of it.
how long is that movie,
I'm
Kai?
gonna have to see that. I haven't seen that yet
It's about 2 hours. It's a little over 2 hours.
Okay.
because I saw the first one and I'm like, okay, and then it just got progressively worse, and I'm like, no, I don't want to waste the money on that.
The
No, thank
Hobbit
you.
films are a hard watch for me. I saw the part three in the theaters, and like the first 10 minutes of it, when Bard's doing what Bard does, absolutely amazing. The very end of the film, when they bring out the Reaper miniature worms and the worms are popping out of the ground, I was like, God damn it. Can I just like take this scenario to a tabletop and play this instead? I'd have more fun.
So can I have a rock hit me on the head so I miss this entire movie, like this entire part of the movie, like Bilbo does in the book?
Like Jack Burton whenever he fires his little tac 9 into the ceiling. Yeah, sure, you can have that happen.
No, it's like I do like the like in the book cut. They actually just they have the rock hit I hit Bilbo. He goes unconscious, and then they cut everything at the battle. The battle three armies out. The battle of five armies out. It's like
It's great.
because he was out cold for the entire battle. He was told about it afterwards. So you don't get Legolas running across defying gravity. You don't get any weird romance sequences. There's no hey, dude wants their worms back. No great stupid orc battle on top of a mountain. It's like none of this shit. No rams. No rams jumping over shit. You can just go, nah, that shit didn't happen. Nope. Dragon dies. There's some talking. There's a little bit of fighting. Some orcs show up, and then a rock happens, and then you just forget the rest of the movie happens, and then you get to the end. Oh no, Oakenshield's dead. Here, have the rock. Oh wow. Now I get to go home. That's right. That's the movie. Done.
I want. I feel like all of us wanted to love the Hobbit movies,
Yep.
and when we started to see them, we started to see them unfurl. Like just one movie would have sufficed. Ugh. Crafting, are you still awake, bud?
Yeah, sorry. I got some unpleasant news, and it's yay.
Is it something that we need to share, or like throw a prayer out for, or whatever?
Prayer won't help.
Okay.
I went to purchase One Piece, the animated series from, and I was told I was going to get paid back for that. Then I got told, well, we can't afford that. It's like, okay, I need to cancel that. Problem is, I bought it off eBay, and eBay gives basically the sellers the opportunity to quick, send it out, so you can't cancel. And that's exactly what happened to me.
Ouch.
So I lost $300. I'm not going to get back.
Damn.
Well, if it makes you feel better, we're out $1,200 due to a puppy farm scam.
Lovely.
It could have been worse.
Both of those suck. I
Yeah.
really
I
I
really wish I was there during that whole conversation, because then I could be like, nope, 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 delete, delete. Boomers and the internet. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I hate the fact that that happened to the two of you.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel better, um, when I was 23 years old, I had a really cool girlfriend, but I didn't realize it, and we didn't realize what we had in each other. We really just we thought we were young and we were dumb. We didn't realize like as time went on, things would change. We could stay the same, but instead we grew apart. And so what we did was we grew apart. But one of the reasons why we did that was because the internet at the time, one of the clan members we had in my Diablo StarCraft games, we got kind of close, and I threw her $500 instead of like saving the $500 from an income tax refund. She's like, I need new tires in my Mitsubishi, and instead of me being like, why don't you go get a trade in on that car and buy a real car? Because most Mitsubishis I've been affiliated with in some form or fashion, like they look nice on the internet, but when you get in the car, they rattle, they shake, they don't handle well, they don't have good reliability, parts break. It's like you're getting into a mid 70s Plymouth or Chrysler and you're just begging for God to let it be quick. So me and her, uh, we were an item in our Diablo games and Diablo 2 games, and I was an idiot because I had something really good that was close by. We saw each other a lot. We had lots of great sex, but we just like we grew apart because I let somebody else get in my head, and I was an idiot. And I think a lot of guys have had that happen in their lives where they have good things and they just let it go away. Um,
It's happened a few times.
yeah, it happens. You know, when you're a young, dumb idiot, you know, and you don't realize the value of youth, you know, it just happens. So, I mean, I've done things that, like, what you guys did was you bought something in good faith, hoping it would be there. I did something in idiocy, gambling that would be better than what I had. So even like your your financial issues, you at least believed that what you were getting into would at least benefit you, or you would have something that would be worth keeping for years and decades. Because One Piece is really good, and who doesn't love the company of a great dog?
True that.
I was just I was stupid and horny and wanted to fuck everything. As Chozo says, what I'm selling is not a scam, and I have those posters you can buy on my Ko-Fi. This Chozo, let me see what he's got here.
Awesome.
Yeah, this Chozo, have you ever talked to anybody over at Tinkar's Tavern on Discord? Because I sent you over there, and I was hoping that at some point you would get a game going and be able to run a game. I'm not seeing your Ko-Fi. Let me do a Google search on just Fizchozo. Let's see what happens. Um, okay. Fizchozo, on your YouTube, you want to add your Ko-Fi link that you've got. And I need a sample of your posters. Isom art print available for sale. Let me just share this. Okay, good. So he's got a Ko-Fi. I'll put it in the chat here in just a second. But he's got a sample here. This art piece of the buckler. If you like Isom, Isom is a good series from what I've been told. I've not read it myself. He's got some other stuff for other supporters, but looks like he's got some things. I'll be happy to put this in here and send this to all the people that watch this. I want you to succeed. Okay.
Woot woot.
And you're also on Twitter. Awesome. You need on your YouTube, whenever you're advertising this, you need to have your links for Twitter and Ko-Fi. Any social media you care about, you need to put on there. Because all that's going to do is just route more people to where they possibly could help you out. And that's the goal. Okay. So, Crafting Gamer, you had some questions for Kai. Do you want to ask them now, or do you want to pass on that? I know I'm doing this 2 hours plus into our stream, but I figured I'd give you enough time to get your head in order to where you'd be able to identify like what you need to do for yourself, just for your, because the Coasters and Traders Guild is offering to buy your location, and you and the party are being given a chance to relocate and do stuff in the interim. I'm just going to say that it's going to be like 2 game years before you get to where you're going to see that other keep. Not before you get a chance. You'll see it in 2 years. But you're going to be doing things until then, because right now you guys are having to travel via land. You're not doing teleport. You're walking, or you're riding a horse. And each hex is 50 miles. But you have an opportunity to get things moved. If you wanted to, Kai would be the person to talk to about that, because you might be getting into from one keep to another.
Yeah. I do have the deed to another keep, thanks to previous venture.
Okay. So, how far off is it?
Over 1,000 miles. Literally the other side of the continent.
Okay. What's your fastest way of?
It's
What's
the
your fastest way of
fortress of
transport?
Donkeys.
Okay, so going by foot from Denver, Colorado to Texas. Got it. across uncivilized plains, correct?
Given the distance, I would presume so.
Okay, so vast tracts of wilderness and unclaimed, uncontrolled territory, correct?
Bruce?
Yeah, pretty much. You're traveling across like civilization, but it's not an urban area. It's a large rural stretch.
Okay, so it's the Great Plains.
Yeah, like he's going on an 1840s wagon train from like Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland, when it's like 20,000 people, to Dodge City.
That's actually what I was thinking.
Say again?
That's better than I was thinking because, like, what popped into my head was a documentary on
Okay.
the history of the Hudson Bay Company and the fur trade. And I forget the name of the two guys that they were like, hey, we've hunted all the beaver and other pelts in this area, but if we go further west, there's plenty more beaver, and there's like no beaver in Europe, and everybody likes the beaver hats and whatnot, and the funky top hats that they were wearing in the later 1700s. And so the government's like, no, nope, you guys are stuck here. So they go out and get the pelts, and then they come back and they're like, see, we told you there's shit ton more fur out there. And they're like, oh, well, we're going to confiscate this and we're going to fine you. And so they didn't have anything. So they go talk to a buddy of theirs who's the cousin of King Charles. And then he's like, hey, yeah, let's expand further. And in fact, you have this entire, like, 1,000-mile area, and here's the Hudson Bay Company, basically, that you guys get to run. And so they hooked up with the Mati, who had their own system of wagons, specially designed, because this was before the importation of iron was a thing. So they would use birch or oak for the frames, but the hubs of the wheels were a specific type of tree. I forget what it was, but it didn't have the same grain structure. It was more like a carbon fiber mesh, so it would last infinitely longer than standard hardwoods until they started using more iron. So once the trade got out there and more supplies were available from Europe, they started making cheaper wagons with iron bands around the hubs so they wouldn't split. That's where my mind was going. And then you said that it was more like the 1840s wagon train. So you got these more killer load capacity wagons.
Okay, so what we're trying to look at here is we're going to leave New York City and we're going to end up in just a little past Rock Island in Illinois. So, by charts written, 6 weeks of travel time, assuming that by 1800s road conditions, also known as dirt ruts, about 6 weeks. Assuming that you have good road conditions, 4 weeks. But I'm going to assume we're in dirt rut roads, so we're not in good roads at all.
Yeah, when Bruce showed the exact distance, my first thought was, good God, that's going to take like 6 months.
It's more like 6 weeks, but
so 3 or 4 months. Granted that there aren't any savages that would waylay us
along the way and ruin your wagons. Which means anytime,
practically guaranteed.
Oh, I guarantee it. And so, which means any amount of communication delay travel time between point A to point B will be 6 weeks there, 6 weeks back. So prepare to not hear from anyone for 3 months. So you'll not have any kind of real-time communications with that keep off the distance. In fact, they probably won't even know that you're coming until you arrive.
Their keep that they're moving from is where my hand is. I don't know if you can see my pointer right here by Care Dyer.
Okay.
Care Dyer, they're going, and every one of these hexes
50 miles.
is 50 fucking miles.
Okay.
So they're going down to past Gilboa into the city of Rheims, stay a day or two. That's that's already like 600 miles, okay? 700 miles almost. And they get on the tradeway, the tradeway, the tradeway, the Duchy of Weimar, the Paintoff. They stop by the world famous Dagger and Rose Inn, which is kind of like the Des Moines truck stop,
Mm-hmm.
I-80, which is the world's largest truck stop, or it was when I was a trucker cross country on the tradeway into Farim. Farim, you have to roll your R's. Then Fairhill. Fairhill's to the north. Here's a whole bunch of low-level stuff. If you're a D&D'er and you want to find some good low-level gaming, right through here, low-level stuff. Stoneheart Mountain Valley, Stoneheart Mountain Dungeon, Fairhill, lots of good shit. Bard's Gate. Here's our Waterdeep. Then you go into the Elven Kingdoms of Arandia, Darendin, in the plains, down the plateau, into Freegate. Florence Cross, Eastwich, which is not that fun. Past the large, it's like Fort Bliss is Storm Shield. That's what when I read about Storm Shield, I feel it's like Fort Bliss, Fort El Paso, Texas. What a shitty place to be stationed. I feel so sorry for you. Down the coast road into the Forest of Hope. The Forest of Hope. Not far from Rapan fucking a Thuck. Don't ever go to Rapanathuk. It's nasty. It's nasty. And no matter what people tell you about the 5th edition version, nobody's ever beat it. Because 5th edition just is not a real edition of D&D. But no, instead you're going to this place, this little spot called Zelker's Ferry, and not far from there is a hopeful keep that is all yours. You have the deed for it. So,
oh, dear God.
Cool.
Yeah, from Care Dyer,
Adventure.
yeah, you're going to level up. You're leveling up on this road. And you're going to learn the value of
Be a
quality
12
toilet paper.
Well, you could go.
12th level bitter empty trick.
Well, you could go
So
south next to the. So go to the truck stop, and then take. I'm just going to call it the North Kingdom Road through Tours and Canterblig, and then through Frenchtown.
Yeah, this is basically going to be like France. Right through here, like when you meet people, it's pointy helmets, and I will make fun of you again. I shall taunt you again.
Okay, mind you, you have Frenchtown, and then you have too many vowels, and now we're into Celtic land of how do you pronounce that? Don't care. More French. You can just reach this east gate and this Emir's Ferry, and you'll be close to your Forest of Hope, and that way you could bypass go past this ruined fortress, and then once again Rapanathuk, and arrive at Forest Town.
Let me just say that I've got everything from like where the Tantivy Road text is down to here, down to here, down to here, down to here. I've got the books of just like the planned encounters.
Actually, zoom back out. Okay, I want to see. Okay. Scroll a bit westward. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out a faster route. Okay, so truck stop to Newbie Town, and then take the river. Just go on the Great Armin River.
Okay,
Um,
problem with that is the ruins of Kurgant.
oh, now if you go north of the mountains of bad guys, Lost Boy Mountains.
If you were to go through Fairhill and then jump on the ferry here at Cremor Washout and then sail down into the Great Ameren River,
Yeah,
like first off, like this is a good route. This is a good route, but the problem is that you're on a boat, and I guess like my players will need to dump some ranks into swim, just out of panicking necessity. And then you have this place which is
Class 5 rapids.
a boat crossing, but then you go keep going eastward, and then you make it to the Forest of Hope. By the way, the Forest of Hope is just like going to a place called Devil's Asshole.
oh, okay.
The
What have I done?
Say again.
What have I done?
You got a deed to go
I
to
love you,
Bakersfield,
man.
apparently.
This is the part about being an adventurer that like, hey, guess what? This is our life.
There's no real way to get there safely. You gotta assume some level of bullshit.
Um,
Yeah.
Crafting. I'm just going to tell you that at least you know you're going to level up.
Oh dear
Yeah.
God! But just think, you can have a fantastic sailing adventure on canoes, and then one of you's gonna die and you're gonna throw his body off a waterfall.
I would actually,
Sweet.
if I was you guys, um, you can go either way, but I would stay off the rivers just because I have an aversion to water. Go through Bard's Gate, Arndia, head down here, go through the Lonely Coast Road area, discover the 10 towns of misery, and hit the Forest of Hope. And then as soon as you hit the tree line, just head west.
On
Just
the river.
head on the Canyon River, and you'll bump into Zelker's Ferry. But once you get to Zelker's Ferry, you check out the keep. You don't have to keep it. You could sell it. You don't have to keep it. You can,
Flip it and sell it.
yeah, yeah. You could do that.
Well,
But
might have to because that's not what I'd exactly call a conducive place for building Vegas.
Well,
I,
no.
I'm going to tell you, like, okay, let's go back over here real quick. You have this place called Care Dyer, and around Care Dyer, you have a bunch of adventuring style stores popping up. People selling shovels and ropes and lamp oil, wizard, buy your magic missile scrolls here. Sit that bullshit. You have that right over here because Care Dyer turned into.
Potentially boneless chicken wings.
Say again.
Potentially boneless chicken wings.
Yeah,
Mm.
if you really want boneless chicken wings, they've got them. But over here in Rapanathuk, this is the largest graveyard in the world. The largest mass grave in the world is right in here. And part of the reason is that years ago there was a place called Zar. It was a city. And Zar was ruled by the forces of Orcus and the armies of light with the clerics of three, which a lot of people don't know who the three are. Just recently, sages have started talking about Kel again. And Kel is the third brother or the third sibling of the three gods, Fear, Mir, Kel. And Kel was just recently discovered within the past 5 years. And these three guys built up armies, and they sent their armies called the Armies of Light from the camp, from the crossroads, into Tsar. And Tsar almost spit them up and shoot them out. But they broke through the walls and they started just hacking apart all the evil people there. And so the evil guys, the forces of Orcus, said, some of us will stay here, majority of us will go west. And so they fled. And they fled. And they fled to the west and then to the south. They found the coast road. They scourged through Free Gate. They made their way into Rapanathuk. And they buried themselves in that dungeon. And the forces of light, part of them stayed up at Tsar. Some of them made their way down to Rapanathuk. And you guys are kind of seeing some of the history of the world now.
Interesting.
So the house or the keep is in a bad neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
But you're also near, let's see, at least two major naval locations. So if you ever wanted to branch out from your new keep and, say, live north of the Great Mausoleum of Doom, and, say, have a port near where the canyon empties out to the sea, you would have a good spot for, say, ships leaving Free Gate, Tinningal, and Eastgate, plus this pirate fortress that you can, if you go for a Mos Eisley mentality, you'd be a good port in the storm.
Yeah.
Plus, think of it. Okay, you have the greatest graveyard in history right next door, right? Cool. Think of it as a great turn your future suburb, Bloomington to Peoria, satellite city that will be your actual main hub. Yeah, you live 50 miles away in this wonderful fortress of in the woods where you get to play with spiders and elves all day. Whoop you do. Go get yourself a fairy girlfriend. Awesome. And make your little port and make it like specifically aim for being an adventurer's launching pad. You don't adventure. You allow other idiots to come to your village, to your town, with the idea they're going to set forth to go and be brave adventurers. Yes, you are a murder hobo waypoint. They come, spend money, buy resources. You supply all the ingredients. After all, you're an adventurer. You already know what low-level adventurers need to survive. You provide that reference. And because literally across the river and just beyond the horizon is death, destruction, graves of plenty, invite a crusader camp of church-going weirdos. I mean, obviously you've got one in your party.
So we got a mixture of like Nassau, so we could like grow crops, grow sugarcane, start a rum industry.
That's right.
So you got booze and you got food, and that's great for adventurers. Throw in some, cheap equipment.
Set up trade with those
They can be pirates or what have you.
Yep. And just know that you're inviting adventurers to their deaths because they're going to go off into Bruce's Dungeon of Doom that nobody can survive. So you're just inviting people to come, spend their money, and die. You'll never see them again. Who gives a shit? And you have some crusaders who you invited, thanks to, Janet and her wonderful zealotous group of wonder people, who will have a church that will be there and be like, we're here to kill undead creatures. Fantastic. there's always a rampaging band of, XP generation that just comes out of the South periodically to.
Damn it! I don't want to fucking laugh, but god damn it, it's funny.
You make it sound so appealing. Like, who wouldn't want that? And then, like, the reality is, we're gonna get our asses whooped.
Oh, no, it's going to be horrible. It's going to be perpetual sieges, and people will be dying. It's going to be misery as heck. And then you have that one guy who's detached, who's like, some of you may die. This is a price I'm willing to pay.
Crafty's gonna be like angry cops with his unflippable crack house.
Yep.
Oh my god!
Gonna turn it into an Airbnb.
The one thing I never thought I'd ever have a correlation to is angry cops and the crafting gamer. That's almost a bridge too far, but it's funny as shit.
And the thing here is that you can shorten your transit times since you already have Bard's Gate as your main teleport point that you're familiar as heck with. Just teleport to Trimane, to Freegate, and that will shorten your travel time down to your future home of you're no longer an adventurer. Hey, Crafty, were you on when I started this entire stream?
Just about.
So you caught my old man, or Bruce, were we streaming when I was talking about that? The old man who's sending you on quests, but he's actually paying off his, but long story short, you're now the quest giver. You're the guild of, you're now the guild head of the guild of undead slaughtering and goblin slaying. You can hire somebody who will just cry to themselves because somebody's going to come in there and go, I'm here to slay a dragon. We have no dragon slaying quests. Well, what quests do you have? Undead slaying quests. I'm going to kill me some undead. That's right. Go goblin slayer. I mean, undead slayer. And just know that the more money that they generate and they bring in, the more shit that you can afford to stock in your town, because you're still an adventurer. You need shit, but you can't finance an entire economy by yourself. So you need to establish people who are going to go do something stupid. And since we know Repentant kills people by the fucking truckload, well, we need to have a constantly continuing draw of Diablo-like retards, Diablo and Path of Exile level retards who are going to come in, think they're heroes, and die miserably. And all you gotta do is have a trained group of people whose job is to go out there and collect their bodies and loot from the. And hell, you can pay the smarter murder hobos to go in after the dumb murder hobos and collect their bodies and gear and bring them back and sell them at the resale shop.
And then you can also give a added bonus for 50,000 per person. I could have you with a guarantee that will bring you back to life, but you got to pay us 50,000 silvers first, and then you're on our insurance policy, and no matter what, we will get your corpse back, no matter what.
Not your gear, but
we need to do a haircut for you and trim your nails.
Yep.
Frickin' Pathfinder temp agency. Welcome to Men at Arms Power.
You get resurrected and you immediately hear, welcome back to the land of the living.
We
Respawn!
We hear the New You Corporation. But that's what the thing is, that you have a great potentiality if you're willing to become a horribly just uncaring, cruel individual to establish yourself as a future place for many people to die. And you just go off at, like, once you establish this, you can go off and do whatever the adventures you want to go do. anywhere else but here. And just know that periodically you got to come back and go, how many more corpses have we added to the pile today? And so buy one of those two-way communication mirrors, so that way you can like call back to the guild office and go, how's everything doing? Oh, we're doing pretty good. We only had like 4 undead invasions in the last week. Oh, so we're down. Yeah, I think it's gonna get kind of peaceful. Or I think we got a new necromancer who's running around in the grand graveyard. Do we need to send somebody after that? Someone above. Okay, post a good bounty. Let's see if we can get somebody out of a real place. But meanwhile, 5 miles upstream away from the graveyard, you can build your Riviera of the Straits. It's fine. Don't worry. And plus, you can guarantee you can get some good gangsters there, because what's a better place to dispose of a body than this grand undead graveyard that's like over here? It's full of evil and stuff. Like, no one's going to look for their body when they don't pay their debts.
Yeah.
You just gotta look the other way when you see some Italian mobsters wheeling a wheelbarrow with a few bodies in it, and then don't worry about it. We're just disposing some people who didn't pay up. Flip.
Oh, don't worry, officer. We're just disposing of our lawn trimmings.
That's right. Via trebuchet, okay?
Yep.
Because we don't go into the graveyard. We just fling their bodies into it. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. But see, like I said, now you got your Riviera, you got your adventurers and den, so you have all those scummy player characters. That plus now you've established a location, so that way when one of you actually dies and can't actually come get resurrected, you now have an excuse on where are we going to find more adventurers? Well, right over here. There's like a whole fucking slew of them over here. Just gotta go find the one who's talking to a table at this moment, because he's the only sane one in the group. Plus you're near a forest. There's got to be some elves in there somewhere. So you're like, hey, we need an elf player. Okay, you're establishing a trade location that's full of booze and merchants, because you're between pirates and more pirates and some sailors and stuff. Well, now you got where are you from? Far distant lands. Congratulations. Get off the boat. And welcome to I welcome. Are you here for pleasure or business? Pleasure. Go to the casinos. Go to the brothels. You were over there. I'm here for business. Go south to the graveyard. We've already don't worry. Stop at the guy at the gate. He's going to measure you for your coffin ahead of time. You think I need a coffin? No, you're not. There's not going to be a
old man will measure you 6'2", and probably you've got a 44-inch chest. Yeah, I got that.
All right, we got you. Do you think I'm gonna be able to come back to be buried? No, we're just gonna make sure we identify which corpse comes after us later.
God damn it! What was that old man's name? The gravekeeper and the Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
Oh God, yes.
Oh yeah, the coffin guy. God.
See,
and then we'll have so much money that we'll have to press gang a bunch of guys to pilot the ship.
That's right. You're set. It's going to be a lot of pain, sorrow, and constant agony, because you're now the mayor of a town that's under siege just all the time. I mean, the corruption and crime probably through the roof, because, well, you got pirates. Lots of pirates. And you got sailors. And, you better make sure there's going to be money. It'll be wonderful. It might take 5-10 years to get going, but you'll be wonderfully rich, and you'll be able to die wealthy. Or just die when the undead come over the walls. But we're not worried about that. And maybe you might go off to the dungeon and actually, go, maybe we can actually prove we're good adventurers by going off to the dungeon that nobody has beaten and beat the dungeon. Yeah, no. That's what we tell people. That's what we tell the saps who come in and think they're big badasses. Go! Clear the dungeon of madness. It's okay. I'm going to go be a hero. Good. you've now created a way to sift the stupid from the smart. The stupid go out to the graveyard. The smart don't.
Someday we end up with like old men who specifically show up to, oh, I'm going to be dead in the next few years anyway. I just want to go down swinging in the graveyard. Seems like a good way to do so.
Yeah, because honestly, because I'm used to Legend of the Five Rings and the idea of having a grand, vast area of death and destruction and monsters that are just like the crab player in me is going, this is normal. Let's build a wall, a really big wall, covered in guns and covered in weapons and siege weapons and armies, and we can afford to pay for it. And who knows? Maybe some of the regional people will be like, wait, somebody's actually guarding against the vast armies of the undead? Sure, we could go down there and help. And so in a different, long ago in a big game of Starfire, which is a space Empire 4X, but you can get XP for starships. One of the players discovered that he had a pocket empire that he was next to that couldn't go anywhere. The only way out was through him, and he was far bigger, far more powerful, and he could have conquered them no problem because they were a one system empire. So rather than conquering them, he just rotated his ships to go and perpetual war. It was a perpetual angry war against these people, and he would just show up every 6 months, put them on patrol in the outer system, kill whatever they put into space, gain XP for his fleet, so that way they would go out to the front lines to go fight the rest of us with veteran crews, something that none of us could do. Now, look what you've got. You've got an infinite supply of XP that will walk to you. They will come to you. Goblins, you gotta like lure them in with you might actually have some loot or some treasure. They're goblins. They're dumb. Okay, whatever. Orcs, you got to be an actual threat, a fight. You got to be a little bit more than just a normal get for a bunch of orcs come fight you. Cool. But the undead are just, you're alive. They want to kill you for that reason alone. Now you got an infinite supply of XP that comes to fight you because you're breathing. And now, well, can you fight the undead? Well, occasionally a big scary one, and that's why you got some high-level people who are like you guys who will fight the big scary ones, but only if they come to you. But eventually you can find friends and go tell all your friends, like at Eastwatch and Storm Shield or some of the other businesses, and go, hey, we're going to be the ones who stop the undead from coming to crush all of you, and we can now reestablish trade along this road if we can just contain the grand graveyard of graveyards. And you might get some people who go, I can do that. And because everyone goes, yeah, you know what? I can do 6 months on a 6 month stint on the wall, no problem. And now you've got a wonderful, perpetually continuing, just existence of fun and terror. Or you might actually have enough people to. No, let's just be honest. You're not going to.
No,
this is just where my brain went.
Yeah, I don't know much about that particular supplement, but I do know from what I've heard, the only way to conquer it is either go in there and turn the entire thing to holy place, which you need an army to do so, or just straight march on it with an army strong enough to make the whole ground quake.
Let's be honest. That army doesn't exist. You're never going to have that kind of troops. And if you go in there with anything less than the Roman army, the Roman legion, you're probably all going to die, and you're just going to. And every person you send in there is just going to be one more zombie who's going to come out later, or a skeleton. Let's be honest, probably a skeleton because zombies kind of suck, and you're just going to end up with this. Just milk it. Like, what you got. It's a known threat. Prepare for it. And who knows? You might find that one lich who's living out there in the undead territories, and who's kind of reasonable. He's still evil. I mean, he's a lich, but you might be able to find, talk to him and go, hey, are you a practical lich?
Compare notes.
Was that?
Compare notes with the
right
lich out there.
Compare notes. Tell a lich, hey, are you a good lich or a bad lich? And the lich will go, I'm evil. Well, no. Are you a lich we can deal with, a lich who does it for the lulz, or the lich who doesn't give a shit and just wants to destroy everything. I have my library is well organized and my house is clean. You're a lawful lich. We can work with you, and you just work around it. So you start establishing a network of of I don't know. Periodically, you send a few fucking lobies at him, and he gets to have some more corpses and some free loot. Because whatever players bring is just free extra loot for them. So you're paying off the lich by sending people to their deaths. I mean, it's not that bad,
You
is
start
it?
getting coupons from the Orcus. Like,
Right.
what the hell is this? He's like, you've been such a great customer. I'm giving you a 50% discount.
Right.
I'd like
Here.
to thank the 55 odd people that are here watching us through Twitter and through Rumble and through YouTube. I'd like to thank my panelists, Kai and Six Nations, 31 Kings, and the Crafting Gamer as well. You guys have been enduring me scrolling through the interwebs and trying to figure out who the fuck the goddamn Pepito guy is that makes the coffins for that shitty little town where the man with no name rode into. Sorry.
No problem. It took me a while to actually find the map of the Lost Land, so I can actually be able to look and identify names and stuff, so I can actually follow along.
I'll get you the link. Hold on.
Oh no, I found the link to it. You can give me a better link, probably.
World Anvil is amazing.
Yes, it is.
And they're always updating this the information on here. So if you ever go in and you start searching for various towns, like there's people that are updating this all the time. If you're friends with them on Discord, like they are super happy.
I really hope I wasn't too far off base with my wild conjecture of what you could do if you were just, lacking morals and ethics.
Not really. There we go.
Well, I also look at it as a potential training exercise. Like, I send people in specifically to go in and, well, collect things, but also survive. Imagine a whole bunch of veteran adventurers as a combat force.
Disgruntled beer swilling combat vets.
The best people to recruit to do anything. God, I would love to do that. Actually, also, some GMs don't like it when you say we're going to set out a series of standard testing evaluation forms, so we can filter out the bottom 90% of people who come apply for a job. What do you mean you have a series of tests? Hi, are you? Welcome to the Adventuring Recruitment Center. We're going to now determine if you're actually good for the job or not. Now, these are 6 tests that you're going to do 10 of each test, and we're going to rate to see how good you are, and figure out what stat block they've actually got, and then go, no, we're sorry, you didn't pass physical, out. No. Oh, look, this guy's a fucking genius. Transfer him over to this department. Okay, congratulations. Hi there, smart kid. Do you want to be a wizard? I was thinking about... No. That wasn't an option. Let me rephrase that. You're going to be a wizard, kid. Okay, do I get a... No. Hey, kid, you're strong. Yep, but you're also stupid. Yep. Have you thought about being a fighter? I was thinking about... Don't think anymore. You failed that test. But you're strong and you have great endurance. You just drag them off somewhere else. We're sorry. You have a bunch of 10s. I'm pretty good I'm a good average person. I have 112. We know. You're you're going to be a manager at a store. That's what you're going to be. We have need for you to sell people rope and thumbtacks and marbles. Can I do more? No, 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 my son. You're useless. And you just sort people that way. And being told that's way too much. Don't turn people into commodities. And I'm like, they have stats. I must know their stat lines. I must know what level they are when they walk in the door.
Come to a village, you see a crazy person leaning up against a wall, like he's holding up the wall.
Yep.
And then a whistle blows, and he goes and punches out his time card, and another crazy person comes up and holds up the wall. Like, we got a job for everybody.
We have jobs for everybody here. But you're treating everybody as though they're just simply, I am the worst class of all time. What's that? I am the HR rep.
Catbert, the evil director of human resources.
I am that. And it's just this. It's this wonderful thing when somebody walks into the guild hall and goes, I want to be an adventurer. All right, let's put you to the test. I'm going to do what I want. No. Here's what classes I think you could actually belong to. I'm going to choose my own thing. Good luck. Just
oh wow, Kai,
yep.
You have just me and Janet are going to watch that and talk about it.
But watch what?
The Tolkien edit for The Hobbit.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to this.
You saw all that they cut out?
No, I did not. I haven't seen nothing yet.
He lists what he cut out of the movies.
Oh, good God. That's going to be crazy.
Yep.
We're almost at 3 hours, and while I don't mind the idea of me and Kai talking till tomorrow at 7 in the evening, I do got to get sleep.
I got to sleep too, but it's been great.
I've been enjoying the show. This Crafting Gamer and Six Nations 31 Kings. David, Josh, thank you so much for being here. I know you guys don't really get much in.
Thanks for the invite. It was awesome.
Hey, I love it. And if you guys got questions, pipe up. Make them known.
I certainly try. Well, not pipe up. I try to think of questions.
Okay. Don't worry. Just throw me some scenarios, and I will try to run in the wrong direction. Because did you think about being a Diablo spawn point? No, you didn't think about that until now. But now you can.
Yeah, while I was cooking dinner, I was explaining our session and how I basically became 50% owner of a Hooters. Pardon me. A Juicy Thighs.
I love that. Juicy Thighs.
I like that.
And it's funny because my mother, she understands. She saw me when I was a teenager, 12 years old, into my teens, role-playing. She understands the quirkiness of the games. My aunt, on the other hand, she's into her Hallmark movies and her true crime, and she doesn't understand the nuances of role-playing, and she's just looking at me like, what the fuck? It was awesome. Well worth it.
And for those that don't understand Juicy Thighs, here we go. My name's Bruce. Thank you for being part of our game tonight and our show tonight. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and I look forward to this. Thank you ever so much.
Hey, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, all.